Monday, right? Yeah. Okay. Oh, Monday. Forgot to do my little fade out. It's gonna bother me. Whoa. There we go. StreamYard for some reason doesn't save the settings. You have to set them each time, at least for the music. Um, Welcome to Monday week, the last week of April, the last few days of April. We're heading into May already. I remember starting the stream in the new year, January, and it seems like a week ago that we were doing that. Wow, that human sense of subjective time, or that subjective sense of human time, or something. Um, how's everyone doing? I didn't see much in the news that hasn't already been in the news. The top headline was the student protests seem to be increasing, and nobody knows what to do. And I just refer them to Benjamin Boyce's Evergreen documentary. Maybe they can get some tips, or at least get a model or pattern for the likely outcome if the administration can't step in and set boundaries on their own student body. Let me find Mr. Boyce's documentary. Here we go. This is an excellent. Oh, I copy the link. Did I just copy the URL? Oh. The Evergreen protest in 2017 here in Washington State at Evergreen College, where the kids tried to, well, they didn't try, they pretty much successfully took over the campus. He made a YouTube documentary series about it. It's like 30 episodes or something. It's hours and hours of footage and narration. It's excellent. So that's what I saw in the news. I did have a few things come across my feeds lately. I guess I'll attempt to share. One of them is let's see, when was it published? Oh, 2011. I thought it was recent. Actually, 2008. Anyway, it's a scientific paper, PubMed, on genes and social behavior, and they try to trace how genes contribute to behavior. And they have the genes at one end and social influence at the other end, and they kind of trace the little feedback loop that they think is involved. And this is across the animal kingdom, not even just humans. And in fact, let me try to share the little illustration at least. Part of it's hard because it's a pop out, and I don't know. Okay, y'all. Do y'all see this pop out? This should be what I'm sharing. So like you have the genome here, which a lot of that directs your brain, like how the brain is structured, how it functions, but it doesn't like necessarily 100% control it. It influence it. It's like a default initial thing. They say that there's there's two substrates that consciousness or social interactions supervene on, and they have the genome as one and then the brain as the other. So I think the genome is one layer, and then from that emerges the brain, and then the brain interacts with the social interactions, and those interactions through epigenetics can influence. There's definitely like our environment definitely has an influence on us, and then it that's our new version of the brain after we've interacted. That's the next iteration of the brain. And then that new brain that's been impacted by the social interactions goes forth and interacts more with social interactions and changes a little bit more, et cetera, et cetera. If I'm understanding this article right. And I think they had another diagram. What they don't fully understand is, well, I'll just go to their little wrap up and say, there's some progress that's been made in understanding, and remember this is 2008, the specific relationships between genes and social behavior in a few species. So just some species. They mentioned Drosophila, the fly. I know that's studied a lot. There's a movie called Laurel Canyon, which is really good, and that kind of shows up in that movie. So I'm thinking it's the ones that are easy to study, like maybe the flies. But one of the challenges is that the molecular path that link the genes and behavior is complicated. So they don't fully have the path mapped out, or they may now. This is 2008. So, but between the like point of expression of the gene and the actual behavior, there's like an entire complex neurochemical pathway and process. And so they're still studying that. So I just wanted to share that because we talk about nature and nurture a lot and what actually influences us. And I think it's varied. I think you can have some individual humans whose genome and brain are particularly strong and rigid, like maybe with autistic people, or in such a way that it's not going to be heavily impacted by social environment as much as other brains that may be a little more plastic. So I think and even that's not absolute. It's even within those brains, there's still going to be some things that are going to change and adapt, and some things that aren't. So I think even at the individual level, you have to look at the trait or the behavior or the whatever characteristic it is that you're worried about, and then figure out how much of that. And on a practical level, at least in the work I do, the way what it translates into is, what do people have control over or not? What can they apply their own agency to? In my experience, for me, and it's just easier to, there's not much I can do about the physical stuff, the genome, the brain, the chemistry. For some people, medication or medical interventions or maybe diet, exercise, et cetera, could influence that part of it, that side of it. But just for me, although I do find a healthy diet does make a difference, and I try to more or less keep one when I can. But for me, it's easier to work on the social influences. And so however my genome and brain is set currently, hey, Auntie, it's easier for me to take that brain and go find social influences that are going to give it a positive feedback loop to help and enhance its development and its expression, instead of adverse environments that constantly set off negative feedback. Although we need some adversity to thrive, I look at especially with people like me, we need a certain level of challenge to stay interested, stimulated, to feel that sense of self-mastery, etc. So I look at if it's pointless adversity, or is it like just an acceptable level of challenge. I can take, that's why even on here, like some of the drama and the stuff that happens on here, I don't want a completely sterile, sanitized, drama-free space where we just have boring conversations all day. I do want some of that. It's just and I think we need some of it to grow. I think as a community, so it's brought a lot of us together more when we get to see the sides that stuff brings out. But it's just, what's an acceptable level of it? What's an acceptable level of that kind of stress and challenge and adversity? And that's just a small example. But so as far as this nature nurture genome brain social interaction stuff goes, where I have the most agency, me in my life personally, is who I have those social interactions with. So if I can control that a lot easier than I could control my genes and my body and make my brain be a different way than it is. So I just try to find environments that fit my brain as it already is, more or less. In the autism community, they call it niche building or niche building, where you very carefully cultivate a circle of people, a network, friends, activities in places that you know the friction or the tension, let's like the integration difficulties are going to be minimized, etc. And some people are very successful at that. I've kind of done that myself. I have like this little, especially up here in Washington State, I've had to, because I'm such a truly an outlier up here, really a fish out of water. I have like this little lane, or like particularly in Seattle before COVID, that I would operate in, like work, home. I had my roommate. We had a small circle of friends, a few little restaurants and coffee shops where I knew I probably wasn't going to get too hassled, and et cetera, et cetera. I just tried to stay in that little, live my life within that little lane of people and places that I had vetted for myself. And I kind of do that here online. Like during COVID and stuff, when I was doing all the Zooms and groups and this and that, for years, I would go from community to group. And a friend of mine, he's a fellow peer. He has this principle that he uses that helps him. Because he's kind of like me. He's also from Louisiana, and he has trouble integrating up here as well. So what he's learned to do is, like any new group, he uses it for as long as it's working, and he tries to figure out what he can take from it. What is he there to get from this group, knowing at some point he's either going to have to leave or they're going to decide he's not a fit or anything. So every group is kind of temporary, and while you're there, you're trying to like figure out what are the positive things you can take from it and how to use it to your best ability. So during the last few years, I was doing all these online groups, and the same thing. Some of them worked out for a while, and sometimes there were interpersonal conflicts, communication breakdowns. That Cartman drama triangle showed up a lot. We've seen it on here a little bit, etc. So that's when it's time to reevaluate that social influence. And is it Christ is king today? It's obviously not Chris, because he's not even here. Hopefully he'll show up later. So maybe, yeah, if Christ wants to be my co-host, we could do a Christ Satan podcast and get the that way we'd have a more well-rounded, balanced perspective on things. And so I'm up for it. If he's king, tell him to come on, come drop by. We'll chat. I forgot what I was saying. Probably something about nature, nurture, and social interactions. So yeah, just like that's why I don't understand why on these streams people go seek out the most dysfunctional people to spend most of their time around, and are the people that affect them the most negatively. That's the panels they go on the most. Like they seek out negative stimuli for some reason, and that's the part I understand, because I go out of my way to like, is this influence going to enhance my life and help me move forward and grow, or is it going to either detract from my mission goals or lead me to behaviors or parts of my life that I'm no longer interested in, that I've kind of moved it. Like that's why I don't hang out with druggies anymore, really. That was my crowd in like young adult, 20s, college, stuff like that. Once I entered the workforce, I pretty much, because I moved to another city, and I pretty much left that crowd behind. But as I got older and I'd go back and I'd visit, I would see them still on drugs, not doing anything with their lives. And I'm like, this is not a crowd I want to hang out with anymore. This is not a crowd that is going to, because when I was hanging out with them, they were kind of like a support system. We were all misfits. None of us fit in the community. We were all punk, and we called ourselves freaks, and so we all got a benefit from being together, and we all liked the same music, and we just understood each other. We were the same generation, etc. But then looking back, it's like I'm not. That's not my life anymore. I want to be productive. I want to do something useful for society, etc. So hanging out with the drug crowd is no longer going to be. I'm not going to get a positive benefit from it. If anything, it's going to be a distraction or a detraction from what I'm trying to do. So I'm always evaluating my social influences on how they contribute to my goals, my developmental goals. Hey, Moose. Good to see you. I saw your music stream earlier. I watched a little bit of Moose is doing a like I don't know, pretty much every day it seems he does a music stream. So you could go by and listen a little bit and like and subscribe and share, etc. And it helps him get his view hours for his channel. What is Linner? Oh, dinner probably. Okay. I thought it was like a Norwegian fish or something. Yeah, I appreciate like potheads are no big deal to me. It's more the harder stuff. Even with the drug crowd, I was there for the psychedelics. Really, just the psychedelics. I didn't do anything else. Alcohol a little bit. I never drank really to get. I didn't like getting drunk. Um, but some of them were doing the snort and the needle and all, and I never did that part. So there was a level of the drug crowd that I was like just in one little strata of it, not the hardcore. But my little group did cross over into both, so I got to see. I saw that lifestyle. Growing up, it was breakfast, dinner, and supper, and at least in our house, that's what we called it. So dinner was the afternoon meal. Like, what's for dinner? Oh, a ham sandwich and macaroni and cheese. Um, and then supper was when your mom came home and either cooked that night or like figured out what she was going to feed you. A lot of times we ate out or did takeout or something like that. And then at school, they called the dinner, what I knew as dinner, they called it lunch. And so at school, I had to like switch my brain to thinking of it as lunch. So then it became breakfast, lunch, and supper. And we never had dinner growing up, like not until I was well into adulthood. Did like anybody call it dinner? It was always supper. What's for supper? Um, so and so's coming over for supper. Can so and so stay for supper? Dinner was something like really formal that fancy white people did. Like nobody I knew did dinner. Um, so that was our meals growing up. But we also were latchkey kids, so we really just fed ourselves whenever we were hungry. We didn't have like actual discrete. We never sat down at the table as a family. That was so weird to me. I'd go to my friends' houses and their families would all they'd have dinner time, like the mom would cook and then dinner's ready and everybody would come to the table and they'd all sit at the same time like at a restaurant and they'd say the blessing and they talk and pass around that was so weird to me that families did that. I know I saw it on TV, but it was just weird seeing that they actually did it in person. But then we went to my dad's house, like I don't know, a few weekends out of the month. He had visitation. They would do. Sometimes they would. Sometimes if he was sleeping or something, we would just have meals with just the kids. But when they were able to, they did. My stepmother liked to cook, and we did sit down at the table as a family. And it was weird and awkward because it was me and my siblings and my dad and my stepmom, and me and my siblings were already used to, like, we didn't need to sit at a table to have conversation. We already was caught up with each other, so we never knew what to talk about. And it was fun. I mean, none of it was traumatic or anything. It was just kind of forced or awkward, at least from my perspective. To me, the conversation would have flowed a lot better if we were just like sitting in the living room with a TV tray, watching TV or something. So I grew up very informal. Let's see what's going on. Oh, let me check this out. Somebody just sent me something. Neurojack just went live. I wonder if we could double stream or something. Let me see. In fact, let me send him a message. Yeah, we didn't even try. Like, our family was just 5 people living in the house doing their own thing. There was no. We did vacations and we played together, and we did like holidays, Christmas and stuff. So we had family stuff that we did as a family, but more or less we were just all doing our own thing. So none of us ever wanted to coordinate, try to sit down together. It was just easier for us to eat on our own. AxisRattblood is backstage. Does anybody know him? Or can you flash your camera? We're trying to screen out trolls. Let's see. Wow, everyone's going live right now. Imp Dave is live too. And yeah, anybody else can come up. It is an open panel. We're trying to be cautious with the new people that we might not know yet. Okay. I kind of see. Do I know you? Do we know you from somewhere else? Does anyone know AxisRattblood? The name seems familiar. Like I've seen him on other shows. All right, I'm gonna do this, Axis. I'm gonna go solo mode and just chat with you for a while and see what's up.
Not much. I haven't met you yet. I thought I would introduce myself. We share some common interests, and I was kind of curious. Am I echoing or are you echoing?
Say again.
Am I echoing or are you echoing?
It might be me. I'm working on your sound settings right now.
Okay, because echo's gone now.
Okay, nope. See if it's gone. Your mic was kind of high, so it might have been echoing.
Hold on. Let me try and unplug my.
Oh no, you good now? You're good. Now we might have lost you.
Shit.
You still there?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I'm trying. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're coming in loud and clear.
Okay, there's still a little echo back there in the background, but I can live with it. No, I don't generally.
Okay, I don't hear any on my end, but if anyone in the comments hears an echo, let me know.
Yeah. Anyhow, the fact that you don't know anything about me and you run in the circles and with the platforms that you do is more astounding to me than anything.
No, I've never had the pleasure. What's your story?
My story is long and vast, but I used to be really closely associated with We Are Awake News. Me and Ian were very good friends for many years. Z, London, shit, man.
Is that London McLovin? Is that the same person?
Yeah, all those guys, man. Everybody fucking knows who I am. You know, and some of the characters that come on here, obviously not at the moment, but I see a lot of traffic through here that are people I'm familiar with and people I know. But I've also seen you allude to some things that kind of uh, we have in proxy. So, but if you're curious, I do have a channel, and you're welcome to check that channel out. It's not, it's dark. I do live streams, very, um, very prophetic and highly
Okay,
esoteric live streams. Um, not your
I
common,
found it. I'm gonna put it in the
yeah.
chat too.
And I touch bases and grounds and research that most people, uh, if they don't put up a safety protocol because of indoctrination, they'll find a reason to become upset with something I say because of
Are
their
you
personal what.
I'm looking at some of your videos now. Are you a conspiracist?
You know, I'm a species, a part of a species on this plane of existence. I'm a musician. I write music. I
Oh, what
I
kind?
retired from the music industry. You just have to listen to it. I was signed with Wax Trax Records out of Chicago for a long time.
Oh wow, this
Yeah,
what an honor.
I
So
played with
you
played. I was on the Sexy Ball in '94 with Thrill Kill Cole.
with Thrill Kill Cult?
Yeah,
Oh, we still listen to them.
yeah. I took Thomas Thorne's place there for that tour, but was what it was. It wasn't the pinnacle and highlight, but it was absolutely amazing times.
Here, I'm gonna as long as you don't porn bomb me, I'll go ahead and put you up.
With me, you just got to worry about frequencies.
Frequencies?
Yeah,
Like
it's a joke.
oh, okay.
I see you. I see you. Sport some of the devil's wear every once in a while. That's seems to be a new thing. I noticed. There's one other. He doesn't sport the wear though. He's generally on damn near everybody's panel. He's a black guy. I can't think of his name right now off the top of. He's been to my channel a few times.
Is it Hank?
Hank, yes, brother Hank.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Hank.
I was getting him mixed up with Joe Cool.
Well, I wonder
Yeah.
why.
Well, um, but I prefer to stay within the realms of as far as etiquette. Not Chiquita gives good etiquette for being a panel host or coming across as a good channel, and you don't do too bad. I've watched a little bit of you, but it was some
We
of the
try. We're very loose with the etiquette around here, but I do try to keep it um, as sophisticated as we can.
sophisticated on YouTube. That's almost a contradiction.
I am an outlier, so
Yeah, I understand that. I was just kind of curious as to meet you. I dropped in the other day, and you were talking about summons and demons and such forth, and I gave a one live stream on summons and demons, exactly how to do such a thing.
well, we
And
sure appreciate it. What was the topic, or what topic are
how
you?
to summon a demon.
Oh yes, it might be working. Our numbers started to go up a little bit, and we also figured out that we need boobs too. So we're working on getting some boobs.
Well,
Yeah, we watched a movie called Late Night with the Devil or something that just came out. It was about a host that was trying to get ratings for his 70s talk shows and
yeah, I seen that.
was trying to like
So,
figure out how to use the demons to help with that. So that's what we need to do. I got a lot of ideas from it.
Yeah, I just was curious about who you were and what you were about.
Um,
I had a
Me
little
too.
loose time this morning and just
Well,
wondered exactly how far your rabbit hole ran and how many of them you had that were presently active.
that is perhaps one of the best questions I've ever been asked. Wow. That's a good one. My
You know,
rabbit holes. I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know. What tell us a little bit about you. Like what is your
I'm an
MO?
omnius. I recognize all religions, but ascribe to
Okay.
none. I use what's valuable in each philosophy, religion, mystery school, or esoteric school, from Satanism to Christianity, um, Judaism to even our local Temple of Satan here in town. I mean, it depends.
Oh, y'all have a satanic temple?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm jealous. I mean,
There's
not
one
jealous.
in there's one in Indianapolis and there's one here in Fort Wayne.
Are they active? Like, do they do things
Yeah,
in the community?
yeah, yeah. I've got a pretty heavy cult following. A cult being used loosely as a joke on Facebook. I have had for years. We do a lot of field research as far as influencing the field, working with ether, projecting energy, using energy to create cause and effect in real time. I do a lot of energy frequency vibrational work. I do a lot of that with Max Vision from Max Vision's remote viewing. And
That's a YouTuber,
oh yeah, yeah, he's amazing. He's
Matt Vision.
Max MAX Vision
Oh,
remote
Max. Okay.
viewing. Yeah, yeah. I used to hang out with Cage a little bit, but he became more of a disruptor than he did a source of useful, viable knowledge and information that can be utilized to help get through this particular state of existence that we're in.
I've seen him on a few panels, and it seems like a lot of people don't like him, but I can't really figure out why. He doesn't seem that different from anybody else.
He's not. He uses Manly P. Hall and a few other um, Masonic gurus as his basic guideline and philosophy for life, and he's just a young kid that's got a long way to go and grow. But I'm not going to down him. I mean, I just not
No,
his
I
taste.
didn't see anything that like, but I don't have the radar for that though, because people are seeing things in all kind of people that I'm not seeing. They see things in Talcott that I'm not seeing. Um,
Well,
Cage
Talcott's
that
got
I'm
his
not
own
seeing.
thing. I mean, Talcott does his own thing. Either you're in or you're out. Either you
Yeah,
ascribe
I
to
don't.
Talcott or you don't.
As far as YouTubers go, I don't have a problem. I don't think he's doing anything that controversial. Like, there's way other worse YouTubers people could be like.
Oh, shit, yeah, yeah, yeah. I consider, Jack is a very docile and he tries to be as humble and peaceful as he's capable of being without breaking the facade. But he's definitely not like a snafu or a Illumitami or anything. He's definitely nothing like that.
Someone said Snafu was in the
And
hospital.
I don't know. I know that he has some immunodeficiency problems that he's been
Oh, I
battling
saw
for
it
a
in a
long time.
comment on one of the panels today, so it might be news.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't say, but I do know that he does occasionally wind up in the hospital. because of his personal ailments. But I don't, I don't ascribe to that type of behavior on social media. I mean, anybody
No, I
can
mean
be a
some
manic
people like
clown.
manage to exploit it for ratings, but it's not good for conversation. That's for sure. And the streams that want to have actual conversation, I don't think Snafu's the best person to let on your panel.
No, not at all.
He's
That's
a
what I mean.
he's a troll anti. You can see him on like some of the other panels. He just comes on and yells. That's all he does. He's like a little chihuahua that comes on and yaps, and until he gets kicked off. He's
Pretty
tried
much.
to come on
Yeah,
here a
you
few
got
times,
me.
but I don't let him on.
Well, I figure since you have, representation of Satan, that he would have done put you into the satanic pogo,
He did,
whatever
yeah. Him and Toilet Bowl
type.
both.
Oh, fuck them. Really. Just scare him. Tell him next time you encounter him, if he ever gives any shit, tell him, say, I know Axis, man. And he's been looking for you. He'll shut up, shut down, and go away.
They don't bother me.
No, they're just aggravations. But if you want to have a productive conversation, or you want to have a productive channel and an informative channel, then they're probably not anything that you want to allow on your channel.
Hey, Bex, what's up?
Yeah, see, Bex knows who I am. She's not going to give me a good review.
She's not.
I'm sure.
Well, at least she.
Yeah, I have no problems with Bex.
Yeah, we like Bex too.
Yeah, I was just at Charles and playing around with Charles this morning. And
who's Charles?
Charles he has a really good channel, a very informative channel. He's got a very big heart, so he tries to cater to everybody to a fault.
Oh yeah.
And, but that's he's still a good guy. He's still open-minded, and he allows everyone to have their opinion, and he allows everyone to voice it at the cost of his own energy and being able to sustain a certain energy on his channel.
It looks like Bex has a. She's cool with you.
Oh, that's cool.
Are you in control of your energy? Like what kind of energy you're putting out and how to change it? That seems very useful if that's so.
Yeah, some would say that that's one of my attributes, I guess.
I know that's something a lot of like neurodivergent and autistic people definitely struggle with. We don't know how we're coming across to other people or what energy people are getting from us, much less how to change it. So if there are ways to do that, I would definitely be interested.
Am I willful? Yes. Am I open? Yeah, I'm very open.
You seem open so far, just in the 10, 15 minutes we talked.
I like to not limit how broad my spectrum of knowledge can achieve. And the minute you start putting up, these little safeguards, whether it be through indoctrination or whatever, that says that this information could be taboo, evil, or whatever, that does, that's not a hesitation mark for me. That's a go ahead and proceed with caution.
Yeah, I think I would agree. And it seems like you have a lot of curiosity too.
Yeah, I'm just not everybody's flavor, man. Not by a hell of a sight.
I mean, you seem like relative to what usually shows up on these panels. You seem pleasant and polite and normal and sane and grounded, and you're able to have a conversation.
I try to conduct my channels that way, and I like when other people conduct themselves that way.
Like
If
if
you
you
would have,
showed up on a panel and somebody asked me if I knew Axis, I'd say, "Oh yeah, he was on my panel and we had a good conversation. I think he would make a good addition to a panel." I wouldn't say like, "No, he's a troll. He's disruptive. He's you're not gonna be able to have a conversation around him, etc."
that's not to say that I used to be pretty disruptive, but
Oh,
in a, uh, I was in a struggle for sanity on the metaverse and these platforms. I mean, at the time that you had Illumitani and there were so many others running around
oh,
creating such a disruption that I sought to disrupt the disruptors. You know what I'm saying?
oh yeah. No, I do.
Give,
That makes total sense.
yeah, give them a taste of their own medicine, and I
Hmm.
got good at it. But it comes at a cost, and I developed. I do a lot of research and a lot of technology research that has effects in real time, and I used to utilize these things to. I'll give you an example. I used to go up onto Z's panel quite a bit as a static warrior.
Is that okay? Yeah.
Yeah, and I used to share with him, and then he went through that phase where he started getting, I guess, views, or he was just getting shits and giggles off of the trolling thing. There is a certain type of person that comes along with that, and it does bring certain amounts of numbers.
Yep.
And I come across, whenever I'm on a panel, I'm going to say what I have to say. Hopefully, it's informative, and I go on. And him and London and a few others got to where they thought it was funny when somebody would come up to help build onto the conversation they were having, and especially with me because of the stigmata that lies with me and me disrupting disruptors. They would throw an ass clown up. So as I was, yeah. So just as they were putting me up on stage and announcing that I was there, suddenly they would throw a Tommy up there, or Snafu, and there's several others, Smith, you know.
Oh yeah, Smith.
And after the third time that happened, I quit paneling. I quit paneling at
So you think it was
my.
deliberate? Like every time they brought you on, they brought a troll on to drown you out.
Well, no, it was the conflict they were looking for, because I used to give a hell of a fucking
Oh, so
battle.
like conflict content they were looking for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't participate. There was a time I would have, and there was a time that taking these guys to the cleaner was almost an obligation. But
What made the switch? Like, how did you decide that that's not what you're into anymore?
well, I come to the understanding that I don't have to participate in these people's channels,
Yeah.
and if they're not going to receive what message I have or information I have, then and they would rather turn it into some type of satirical um, humor, I probably don't belong there, and the
Yeah.
people there probably don't deserve what information I have. So I move on.
I think that's a very wise thing to do. because different channels have different types of content, and it's not all educational or conversational. And I don't go to the channels I don't like either, that don't have the content I'm looking for. I guess I don't know why. Maybe it's good marketing or branding on Tommy's part, but for some reason he's associated with the Panelverse. Like he's the face or the mascot of the Panelverse. So people like think that they have to get in good with the trolls to be in good with the Panelverse, but it's a lot bigger than just that one little sector. I think just having people like Tommy just makes it seem bigger than it is.
To me, it's a shortcut to thinking. It's a shortcut to content. And if you truly have a message to share, then you're not doing yourself any favors.
Yeah, that's not. If I had a message to share, which I don't, but I would definitely not go. Tommy's channel would not be the one I would go on, thinking I could do that.
No. No, not at all. Definitely not at all. Do you have content? Do you carry content on your channel other than your lives, or is that pretty much what you have?
Not really. Like I started it intending it to be a live. So in the meantime, I did a bunch of like solo, just me talking into the microphone about different topics, if you call that content. But I don't do like video editing or anything like that.
Okay. No, that's content. I mean, if you're
it's just like different mental health topics or like topics about autism or stuff. I just try to make different videos on. During Mental Health Month in May, I did one topic a day for every day in May. So that's like 31 mental health topics. So stuff like that. In fact, oh my God, we're coming up in May. I might have to do it again. Hey, Chris. This is AxisRattblood. He's new to the panel.
Hey, Chris, welcome. How's it going?
I have been outside sweating to the
Your car?
point of sweating in the car to the point of ridiculousness, and yeah, I had to take a break.
Are you?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm
close?
sorry.
Oh, go ahead. I was just wondering if how close he's working on his car. How close he is to success.
Very close to finally having it fully disassembled. Then I can actually get to the heater core, replace the evaporator, and then start the process of putting them back together. Which I don't have any idea how long that'll take. But
right, that's gonna be the.
I mean, technically, I mean, usually putting things back together is mentally more difficult, but generally in terms of like time and everything, as long as you pay attention to what you're doing, it's usually somewhat easier in other ways. It just depends. You know, like because now I know where everything is and where everything goes. You know, at this point, like I was following a guide, a YouTuber's guide, where this guy, and he's really meticulous and goes into great detail and shows you where every clip and every screw is until he gets to this one part of the freaking video of the process, and it just cuts. And he's just like, well, as you see, I've disconnected the wiring harness now. It was kind of a trial and error kind of thing. The manual doesn't really say too much about exactly how to do it. It just kind of tells you to remove the clips and pull the wiring harness back. So you know, that's how. So I did that, and then this is the part I've been stuck on. The wiring harness is the most complicated part of this entire thing. It's complicated to the point of like near ridiculousness, and the one part of the video that I really would have needed more than anything, this is the part. This is where I would have needed a step-by-step instructions for. He just skips over it like it's no big deal. And I'm just like, I mean, it's a free video.
Well, did anybody in the comments say anything?
I don't know. I haven't read the comments.
That's what I would check, because if somebody spotted it, they might have come and corrected it or given.
There might be other video. I mean, there's probably another video out there I can look at. I mean, I'm almost done. I figured it out for the most part. I've got it mostly done. Right now it's like the hottest part of the day out there right now.
Yeah. Well, come chill with us for a second. Yeah. I'm gonna go grab a refill, but I think Axis had a question for you. So y'all chat for a second.
What's up, Axis?
I was curious, man. Since you go outside, obviously you work outside. Since the eclipse, man, have you kind of noticed a difference in the hue or the crispness of everything around you visually? Does everything seem to be more present and crisp? Almost like you've changed the hue of a TV and sharpened it just a little?
Not personally, but if that's something you're experiencing, it sounds cool.
Yeah, it's I've asked a few other people. Some are, some aren't, and some can explain it, and I know that what they're saying is.
I've been going through a pretty rough time lately, though, so that might color it. Like I think that's the kind of that I usually feel that kind of thing whenever I'm going through periods in my life where everything's going right. Everything's like really going smoothly and stuff like that. Things are happening. That's usually whenever I feel like everything feels sharper and more vibrant and stuff like that. But like I don't know. Whenever my mind is clouded by anxiety and depression and stuff like that, I don't tend to feel that way as much, and that does suck, but it's okay.
It's part of the human experience, man.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, are you in your opinion? Are you suggesting it's like a spiritual awakening type thing? Like I've heard people talk about this, like more new agey circles.
No. I'm thinking that it's an after effect of the eclipse, because the sun right now is almost white. If you go out and take a look at it, that orange yellow type sun that we're used to, or that we get in the evenings as a reflected light, isn't so much present during the day now. It's more of a just a white.
How would the eclipse affect that?
Well, because of the sun and whether it's plasma or some type of undefined energy, whatever the sun is, it has effects. And when you have something pass between or in front of the sun in such a manner, then just the same as if you were putting something in front of a gun, the bullet's only going to go so far. And with the sun being reflective, that energy is going to reflect back. So it had a period where the energy, the full forces of the sun, was reflecting off the backside of the moon to itself. And I was wondering if maybe that if that didn't cause some type of reaction within the sun itself. That could be temporary, or may not even exist at all. But it seems plausible that it would have some type of effect.
I mean, I don't want to like to be the I mean, it seems like you're feeling positive effects from it, and I don't want to ruin that in any way, but I don't see how that's, from an astrological point of view, I don't see how that's plausible. But just because the fact like the moon is, it only looks that way because of our perspective from the Earth. I mean, the moon is very small compared to the Earth, compared to the sun. It's smaller even than the Earth, and the Earth literally is turns its back to the it goes dark every night for everyone on the Earth, and I think the Earth is probably the atmosphere of the Earth is probably just as reflective as the moon is. The moon, I mean, like just because its proximity to us and it being in between us and the sun, it makes it look like it blocks out if you put the moon up next to the sun, it wouldn't even you couldn't even you wouldn't be able to see it as a speck against the thing. The sun's so massive. I mean, maybe. I mean, I have heard. I have studied and looked at people that talk about alignments, between planets and how they can affect, gravity and waves and stuff like that. The way the moon affects the waves in the Earth and stuff like that. And there is certainly something kind of curious about the eclipse thing in the terms of like the way the birds and stuff react and stuff like that. But I mean,
I can't speak for the moon's size or the sun's size because I haven't been close enough to it to be able to determine exactly. what its size is. And I'm sure for them, if they've been there, then, their personal experience is one that is solo to them. I can't just take another person's word at being any type of fact just because it's somebody else's word. Lies are so prevalent, and people have skewed concepts, or they apply parts of themselves into the fact form and the function of things. And until I've seen it or can find a relative math to it that makes it plausible beyond question, then it's just speculation to me.
What what do you need
fair.
to carry it beyond speculation? Like, what does it take for you to get that so that it's believable?
That's a pretty profound question, because that would be explaining what all the illuminary heavenly bodies are. I don't know. I don't even know the shape of the earth. I hear people screaming back and forth
Probably
about flat and round and this, that, and another, and I can
still
only
believe
tell
spheroid.
you that I've been on flat ground. I've seen mountains. I've been in the desert. I've been all over the United States. I've up, down. I've been to the ocean, and so far, other than being in water, it's been pretty well, continually the same type of terrain. So I couldn't tell you what the shape of the Earth is, but I
Well, I
can
mean,
look up and
have
tell
you
you that.
ever looked up through a telescope? Have you ever looked at like Venus or Saturn, Jupiter, and on
Hmm.
a telescope?
Yeah,
I mean, you can clearly see that they're spheres. I mean, like they look, you can see the tell they're spherical. They turn. You can see them turning
yeah,
even.
yeah,
But you
yeah.
think the Earth is possibly, you think Earth is possibly not a spheroid though?
No, I'm saying I don't know.
Okay.
And yeah, I can look at the sun, the moon. I know that stars, when I look at them through a telescope, aren't what they appear to be. Um, Along with various other planets and localized planets, I can only speculate on the fact of what they're compiled of, or what they're, the base elements of what creates them, or even makes them round. I have no idea. I didn't create that stuff. I myself feel that I was created just because I didn't create myself. And as a species, we are a species without identification, because we have nothing to compare ourselves to beyond what we are. So I don't even see us as being the be all end all of existence. I think we're a type of existence, but I don't think that we're the profound state that a lot of people would believe themselves to be. And because
what's
of the
higher
math,
than us?
I would say that which created us, that which put into motion the mathematics, the vibration, and the frequencies, that brought into a plane of influence this creation that we call our existence, as best that we can recognize it, and to claim to know the mind of whatever that is, uh, just seems kind of foolhardy to me.
Or that
You
it
know
even has a mind?
exactly. Who's to say? I don't know.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
don't.
I don't know. And if I take other people's word for it, then I'm probably going to be involved in 5 different different college courses on astronomy and what their indoctrination is, and possibly 7 religions to go with that, just so that I can have their indoctrination, and then everybody else's ideal of what their interpretation of it is from the college and the religion. And I don't want that. I don't need all that.
Do
Well,
you
don't
think
need all that.
science is indoctrination?
There are plenty of really non-biased, like that are really actually very open-minded science explainers on YouTube that go into all kinds of subjects and actually examine both sides of it in a very fair sense. Like they'll actually take the flat Earth argument as serious as they can, as serious as they can as someone who's like, is involved in science. Like, you don't take it too seriously because at a certain point it becomes ridiculous once you start looking at the math and everything behind it. But they will examine it in in a fair, I think a very fair way, and instead of just making fun of it or laughing about it. There's actually quite a few science people on YouTube that do this kind of stuff like quite often.
Do you know some good ones that we could put links to?
Yeah, let me look through my. I can look through my list. I can't think of the names off.
Here's a we got a climate explainer right here. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, never mind. Hi, Sean. Welcome.
So, you're talking about the flat Earth. I love that stuff.
I think. Well, we're talking
religion
about
stuff.
not knowing the shape at all, and how does one determine what to trust to know the shape? Like, how does someone that doesn't have the science background know how to trust that the Earth is what they say it is?
Well, you should trust me. I know everything. Okay, I'll tell you.
And Chris
Earth
is
is
it's
a
an oblate
circle.
spheroid.
Yeah, and we're little ants walking around on top of it.
Yeah.
And we're a tiny part of a giant galaxy full of sand. We're just a tiny thing. And I don't know what pooped it out. The scientists don't know what pooped it out.
I think so.
There's a couple of channels here that were really good, but I think a couple of them got bought by they suddenly turned into AI generated bullshit channels. So I won't link those. Because there was one called Voyager that was a really good channel for a long time that actually had an actual voice behind it, and then all of a sudden one day it just I clicked on one of their videos and it was really it was all computer generated voice and all the images and everything, and it was just talking nonsense. It didn't make any sense. So I won't do that one. I do like Joe Answers with Joe, even though he's not exactly a source I go to for necessarily.
Do they still have those Canadian guys? One of them was on Big Brother. I forgot what they're called. Mitch and they're a gay couple.
I don't know.
The science guys, maybe. Let me look.
I have too many subscriptions, and it's like freaking.
They're Canadian. I should warn you guys. Greg and Mitch. I guess they're over. It looks like. Did they split up as a couple? Hang on, this might be some drama.
Always ready for some drama. All right. One of the good ones I want to say is called it's I can't remember her name is Sabine Hofstetter. I've got to find her.
I've heard of her. Yeah, I've heard of her too.
She's really good. She's actually she's literally a nuclear physicist. That's what she actually does for a living, and she does YouTube videos. And she does YouTube videos about all different kinds of things.
Now she is female. I must warn you.
But she is female, but she's extremely and she is also Dutch or from that part of the world. So she has kind of that kind of Germanic accent that might be hard for some people to understand.
Is it Hossenfelder?
I think she's German.
Ooh.
She did.
Yeah, she might be German.
YouTuber.
Yeah, she might be German.
Yeah, I think she's German.
You probably are pronouncing it right. I'm probably just pronouncing it wrong. So
she's like a older white lady.
Yeah,
kind of lesbian.
But her videos are typically very, very good about taking the skeptical side and also the truther type side and stuff like that, and looking at them in a very fair and with it. She has a sense of humor about it, but she's not mocking anybody. She makes little jokes, but they're not
Is she entertaining at all?
Yes, she is. I think she's entertaining, but you have, as long as you get past the accent. If you can't handle the accent, then
accents. I'm the last person to be bothered by an accent.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying that some people like there are a few YouTubers that are really good, but their accents are so difficult for me to penetrate. Sometimes I can't quite understand what they're saying. Like I have to concentrate really hard to understand what they're saying sometimes, and like that
Do
makes
the
them.
captions help? I have to watch Zarathustra's Serpent with captions.
I know, like the one guy I'm trying to think of. He's literally an astrophysicist, and he does I can't remember the name of his channel. I'm trying to find him right now, but he's German too, and his accent is very thick, and it's just, and he speaks English pretty well, but it's just like at certain times when he's talking about these kind of advanced scientific concepts and words and stuff like that. You know, if you already don't know the word and you don't know what it sounds like in English normally, then hearing it filtered through that accent can make it like really difficult to follow. You know.
What do you think of Neil Ticey Grassy or whatever?
Neil deGrasse Tyson. I think he's he's totally at this point owned by the establishment, and he will say whatever they tell him to say.
That sounds like a conspiracy. Like he's gonna betray his scientific integrity.
Yeah, he has
pumping money into his bank
scientific
account to make him say things that he knows to be false.
I mean, not for his bank account. No, it's not his bank account. That's not the issue. It's not about the bank account. It's about.
I thought you said he was bought and sold by.
When I say he was bought, I meant like
audience capture.
I said it wrong. It's more like he's bought into the woke agenda stuff.
Oh yeah, he himself bought. Yeah, that I've noticed too. But
that's what I meant.
I don't think that applies to most. Like I don't think the woke agenda applies to physical science at all. So I think whatever he says about the universe and physical science is not going to be impacted by the woke agenda.
He's a little reductive when it comes to the actual big science stuff. I mean, there's some videos that he's done that I've learned a lot from. Don't get me wrong, especially when it comes to like he's done interviews with quantum physicists and stuff like that. And you can tell that he actually doesn't even understand it fully. Like I mean, he's like asking questions to these people. So I mean, like I enjoyed some of those.
Well, yeah, like, no scientist on Earth understands everything fully, and they all ask questions of each other. That's not a mark against them.
Absolutely, I wasn't making a mark against them. I'm saying like
it was.
I was actually giving him a compliment. I was saying that he would actually let these people talk and explain things to him that he'd understand. I enjoyed those videos. But then like as time went on, the more he got kind of in like public eye, similar to like Bill Nye the Science Guy, who isn't even a scientist. He's just an actor, and I think he has like a minor in something science related or something like that. He's not a professional scientist.
And Crocoduck is another one I like.
They bring him on all the news programs and stuff to talk about things like trans issues and shit like that. You know.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out who the good scientist communicators are nowadays. Who the best scientist communicators are? Like the top 3 or 4.
I haven't watched her in a while. I haven't watched this in a while. I'm gonna put one in the in the chat here.
No, Rick, I have not seen that video, or at least it doesn't sound familiar. Okay, Dr. Becky, that's another one.
Dr. Becky, she does astrophysics mostly, but she's really good. I mean, she kind of covers lots of like. It's lots of space stuff, and she's also been talking a lot about like some of the problem within the most recent like what they call it, like the crises in science, like with like people making up shit and stuff like that.
The replication crisis.
Yeah, the replication crisis, like the replication crisis, and she's talking about that a little bit.
That doesn't really happen in the physical biological sciences. It's the
she's just been talking because it's been affecting people's view of biological and astrosciences and stuff like that. So that's the reason why she talked about it. But you can look at her channel, like it's very much focused on space. It's very space focused, and she talks about a lot of space. And I think she's really good. And she's not perfect or anything, but she definitely has. She uses a lot of really good footage and a lot of good like actual photos and not just like the artist renderings of shit and everything. She talks a lot about the James Webb Space Telescope shit.
Okay, well, thank you for those. Cool. Hey, Lib, what's up?
Hey, I just heard y'all talking about
science communicators. Do you know any good ones?
Yeah, actually, let me pull up my other YouTube account and I can see if I can remind myself of a few of them. I don't really watch that content as much anymore. so it doesn't
I
come
don't
across
either.
my feed as
I don't
much.
either, but I used to watch them a lot.
I mostly read. If I'm science, I'm better at reading it than listening to somebody explain it. Although if they do a good job, I can sit through it.
There was, oh god, I'm trying to remember his name. Is it genetic? Hang on, is it genetically modified skeptic?
Oh, I think Paul had him on a show one day. PFU.
Yeah, I believe it. Okay. Yeah, it is genetically modified skeptic. He was one of
There's
the
another
big ones
guy
I
that
remember.
uses animals or something to.
Oh, Vice Rhino. Vice Rhino.
Yeah, but
Um,
he's a Christian atheist guy.
Ooh, he did one on Satan. Okay, Satanism expert
Ex-Christian.
explains modern Satanism in 6 terms. All right, this video will be watched by me today.
was that one of Vice Rhino's?
One of genetically modified
Oh,
skeptics.
oh yeah, no, I love
There's one on
GMOs,
Satanism.
GMS's stuff.
Wow, modern
Yeah.
Satan in 6 terms. What does that mean?
Honestly,
Oh, it's about these are the terms discussed: non-supernaturalist religion, which is mine; religious pluralism, which is what we have in the U.S.; therapeutic blasphemy, I'll have to look into; counter myth; culture jamming, that has my attention already; and appropriating the discourse of evil. Wow, I can't wait for this video.
yeah, there was oh my god, another guy. He's not so much of a science communicator, but more of like a atheism philosophy communicator. Matt Dillon.
Cosmic
Dillahunty.
skeptic.
Dillahunty, the one that debated,
Dillahunty.
got clowned by Andrew Wilson. And
Oh,
walked
I
off the stage.
didn't see that. I know that a lot of
He
his
tied the You didn't see the debate with Andrew Wilson and Matt Dillahunty?
no.
We talked about it on here, and it revolved around trans issues. So I guess you weren't around to be part of that conversation. But
Excuse me, gentlemen. I don't mean to interrupt, but you guys got this rolling, so I'm going to check out a couple of these sites. Jeff, sometime I'd like to get with you and maybe discuss the expanse of where you've been and some of the beyond the horizon and beyond the boundaries that you've experienced. But as for right now, you guys have got something good rolling, and this is really
You're welcome to
not
hang
my
out. Like, I'm
department,
sorry
so.
if you want to jump in, if you want to jump in something to say, you're
No.
welcome.
I'm not a I don't know. You just have to check out my etiquette and how I conduct myself. But
Okay.
it's no offense to you guys. You guys are doing
none
great.
taken at all. I'm thank you for stopping by. It was a pleasure, and
Yeah,
anytime.
hopefully next time we can get me up on stage without all the rhetoric. That I understand. I really do.
Oh, I
And
wanted
we
to
can
dunk you on the flat
make
Earth stuff,
room
but
for-
it's fine.
We can make room for your topic too. Like
No, not right
later.
now. Is not the time. I appreciate it, but I will be back, Jeff. I will make sure that I make it a point to come back and get a little more acquainted and familiar with your channel. I do appreciate your channel, and I appreciate what you guys have to offer here. Hopefully you guys can hold ground and, keep the endeavors going forward, man. I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate the lack of stigmata where Satanism is concerned. That's awesome, man. I can really appreciate that.
Well, thank you, Mr. Ratblood. It was good.
Not a
getting
problem.
acquainted.
You guys have a wonderful afternoon and a great evening, and peace to all, man.
All right. Well, thanks
Oh,
for
yeah.
coming by, man.
Sure. Thank you guys for having me.
Take care. Thank you. Oh, Jeffrey
seems like-
Kaplan. I
He
did
seems
see
like he was
his.
a
Oh man,
pleasant fellow.
Yeah, no, he.
what?
So, what are we talking about?
He was
so
ignorant on the flat Earth, though, which is
What
funny.
the Dillahunty thing, though, real quick, while it's fresh in my brain.
Yeah, I mean, I'm mostly I stopped his content once. I stopped watching a lot of his content at least once he left the the radio show, the Atheist Experience. I only saw a little bit of his content after that.
He was arguing on the principles of secular humanism, and as a secular humanist myself, he was trying to tie the position he was taking on the trans issue was not anything to do with secular humanism, but he was trying to claim it as part of secular humanism. I'm like, no. Like, you can take that position, but don't use your secular humanism to justify it, because that's not really what secular humanism's position is. And then he and Andrew got into a big fight and he walked off the stage. So he never did get to finish untangling it. I'm trying to remember I'd have to go back and watch the video.
Yeah.
What point he was making about trans that he was trying to claim for secular humanism, but it wasn't actually a secular humanist position. Because as a secular humanism, I have the complete opposite position from Matt. So if I figure it out, I will bring it up.
Well, he probably wasn't. I doubt he was arguing that, we should respect trans people well, actually, no, that would be probably a pretty succinct argument, is that via secular humanism, you ought respect other people. But that's I
know what it was. No, it was gender. Like, that gender is a real thing in biology. It was how they reverse biology and gender. It was like gender as a metaphysical thing, and secular humanism's position is like rationalism and following the science. And
it's not,
so his position on trans was not the following of the science.
Wait, he was talking about gender like metaphysically.
You know what? To make our conversation easier, so we don't get bogged down, it's better if I watch the debate and try to, instead of trying
I'll try to.
But if you watch it, you'll see what I'm talking about. In fact, I will try to find it and post the link.
Because, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he made a poor argument. I know plenty of people who make poor pro-trans arguments. I don't know why he would make that argument. That's very silly of him. I mean, if you want to argue for like trans rights from a secular humanist perspective, you do the,
it wasn't for trans rights though. It was for the existence of trans as a phenomena as described by the ideological left, not necessarily by the science, but by the left, their version of what trans and gender is. But passing it off as though this was settled science, and he was only following science. That's what led him to that position.
But the position, the broad position of the left about like gender is that it is a social construct, a thing that it is. So was he just poorly arguing that it was a social construct, or
no? Well, I don't understand it. I'm talking about this mystical gendered soul that's separate from the body, that's trapped in the body. That's what I call the metaphysical argument for gender.
That's stupid.
That is an argument I see from the left over and over and over. They are born in the wrong body, that the physical body is not who they are. They are this soul that is separate and different from the physical body.
Well, I mean, I don't not believe in souls, but that's not the reason why I believe that trans people exist.
But I'm saying that was what he was saying. That is the ideological justification for gender.
Why would he, an atheist, specifically?
Because he's married to a trans person. He's dating a trans person.
So that explains him making a bad argument for.
It could. I mean, it could explain why he adopted this position on trans. Because surely you know how ideology and the left works, or in this case, the left. It could be any side, but there's a party line, a PC line that you toe if you want to be seen as supporting that cause, whether it's true or not. You adopt it politically and socially. That's what I'm talking about. The only problem I had with Dillahunty is he was trying to use secular humanism as the reason he was adopting it, instead of the real reason, which is the social and political ideology. Because secular humanism would say follow the science, and the science is not leading where the ideology is claiming that it is. That we have the science has not found a gendered soul.
Science doesn't say anything about gender, period. Like this
Right.
scientific
That's why
endeavors don't.
yes,
Yeah.
thank you. It doesn't. That's why the ideology is filling in with their mythology of gender, and people are taking it as though it were scientific.
I
The
can
narrative
see.
around gender from the left that shows them the Dillahunty debate, which I posted the link to, is not science, but it is accepted as the narrative of the left of how gender works in reality. So it's
Where
like leftist ideological pseudoscience around gender
where did you post it?
in the private.
Oh, there it is.
And it's the
So-
whole debate. Oh, wait, is it? Hang on, that's not the right.
This
So you
is
basically say that gender is.
It's the whole debate. So I tried to
Yeah.
cue it up roughly around the
So-
spot, but you'll have to search for it.
Can you hear me?
yeah, we can.
Yeah,
Really-
I mean the gays.
really-
Nobody
really
mocks
fast.
the gays.
The what?
It's
Yeah,
the genders
exactly.
the trans that we don't like because I don't know. The conservatives don't like the trans because,
Because they don't match the rest of the reality everybody else is living in, and we can't see what's
But-
inside their head.
but gays is a gender. Being gay is a gender, isn't it?
No,
No, it's sexuality.
it's an attract. It's a
Yeah,
orientation.
the sexual attraction, sexual orientation.
It describes an object of someone's attraction, not necessarily the source. But when you get into
So the trans issue
source
is
of that
more of a
attraction,
mental
then
thing.
the what?
So the conservatives are saying that it's a mental health problem, but the trans don't want to say it as a mental health problem because I heard the gays were considered mentally ill back in the day, weren't they?
Well, some. It was in the DSM. It was considered by psychology a mental illness for a while until it was removed.
And for what it's worth, gender dysphoria, which many transgender people have, is a mental illness. Or I don't think they're called mental illnesses anymore. They're called conditions or something. I don't know. It's in the DSM-5 though. Or
It is what
DSM.
it is, right? Though I mean, at the same time.
Yeah, no. Like it
Change
There's
the
I saw a
terminology, but it doesn't really
movement
change
where
it.
is a phenomenon.
there are some trans trying to get it removed because it stigmatizes it as mental illness, and they see it as something completely normal and natural, like homosexuality, and that it shouldn't be in the DSM either. That gender dysphoria is a natural, normal part of being trans, and it shouldn't be pathologized as a condition or disorder.
It is a very common attribute to transgender people, but it is not like you don't have to have gender dysphoria to be transgender.
Yeah, I didn't.
Which is for me personally, like I dislike the idea of coupling the mental condition and being transgender because they aren't
Because someone
necessarily-
could in the right society where it's accepted, you could be trans at a young age and transition or whatever, and have no mental health symptoms around it at all.
You could
Yeah,
do
I
that
think
and
that's
not have
possible
any
too.
surgeries and not go on hormones or anything. You could just do that, and that would be
Yeah.
a transgender person. They just wouldn't
And have no mental anxiety
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
stress around it at all. Yeah, I think that's possible too.
yeah.
In fact, that's a goal. That's an ideal I would
Yeah.
like to
Yeah.
shoot for.
that people can feel comfortable enough with themselves that they feel they can
Mhm.
express themselves however they want to, as long as it's not hurting anybody, and that's the ideal. That's
very
where
Gen X, by the way. Gen X ethos. So yeah, 100% that.
I mean, you can say that, but this is the perspective that most trans people I know and hang around, or most. Let me correct this: most trans people I hang out with.
Lib, I would be so excited if that were true. I want to believe you so much.
Oh,
And
no!
I'm way more. If that is the majority of trans people and the future of trans people, I'm way more encouraged.
I want it to be the future of trans people. I do understand that there are definitely a lot of people who have different ideas of what being transgender is, either more limiting or sometimes more open views on what it can mean. Well, actually, I'm not even sure if there's people who have like more open ideas than what I just described, but they do have, I think, more limiting in other ways views than what I have, and I recognize that I don't know that I can definitively say that my view is in the majority. What I can say is that
They're based.
those are the kinds of people, yeah, people who think like me are based. And I usually try, and that's most of the people I like hang around with, because, you know, generally speaking, if somebody has, in my experience, those kinds of people who differ on my opinions on that aren't usually the kinds of people that I hang around.
Within the trans community itself.
Oh, I mean, you mean broadly. If
Oh.
someone were to have that perspective on it, I don't normally spend time with them, because it's like a comorbidities with like other traits that I just dislike in people.
Like what?
The people who tend to take those positions tend to be the kind of like woke scolds.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I get
And
that.
that's one of my favorite terms that's come out of the last like 2 decades or so of like the.
Yeah, I like it too.
There's just something that, like just the flow of woke scold. It just sounds good coming off the tongue. I don't even want to use it in particular. Like kind of like, you know, Louis C.K. has that whole thing how he loves the way the word fuck sounds. You know,
Yeah.
he talks or no cunt. He does the way the word cunt sounds. He talks about how it doesn't sound. It sounds like French or something. You know, like the woke skull just like it just flows off the tongue so well. I don't even really care who it describes. I just like the way it sounds. Sorry.
No, you're fine. But yeah, no, I also really appreciate the term. It definitely describes like a cadre of people, who've like always existed within social movements. They're just basically like purity testers.
They growing up, they were like the church ladies in the
Yeah,
Protestant.
no.
And I never like they were. My life never intersected with them, so I never had to deal
Yeah.
with them. But when I moved up here in Seattle, they're the HR girls, they're the office people, they're the Starbucks baristas, they're everywhere here.
Yeah, it's just these kinds of groups appear in a lot of different societies, in different places, in different times. I think they're very
Do
much
they
that.
know how obnoxious and annoying they are to the rest of humanity?
Most of
I think
them
they're
wouldn't.
mostly oblivious, but
Like I don't know if it's like lack of self-awareness, like delusion or indifference. Do they
So,
honestly think that
I think
people are
I think
welcoming
most
this,
of them are
or do they just
unaware,
not
and the
care?
ones that are don't care.
yeah, the ones who are aware usually lean towards like
Doing it harder.
almost like the tanky side of thing. No, they're not necessarily.
Yeah,
They're not like tankies usually aren't like woke scoldy, because like
Oh,
tankies are because they're usually okay. It depends on the kind of tanky you're talking about. If you're talking about the like confused 20-year-old on Twitter who calls himself a tanky, then yeah, they probably like that is probably who I'm talking about. But if it's like a tanky like I write for Russia Today and I'm like a crypto fascist,
oh, I see.
those
Yeah.
that's like the Caleb Moppins. Those people tend not to be woke scolds, though they do appropriate some of the tactics because they're useful and
Mhm.
authoritarian. But yeah, whereas like, you know, the Twitter tanky who will like, I don't know, defend the USSR because they're stupid and haven't read anything. Just like they really like gulag memes and
Like people do with
guillotine
Israel.
memes. Yeah, like some people do it with Israel too. Yeah. No, I agree. This is
People
a
like gulag memes, like
And
people
Gaza.
like pro gulag. Who's pro
yeah,
gulag?
very very edgy 18-year-olds.
Oh, okay, so they're doing it as a joke. They're not really.
Well,
They're doing it because it's so extreme that it sounds that
no, they
it's
don't
ridiculous.
they don't think it's a joke. But they are too
Okay.
stupid to like realize that it is only a joke. It can only be a joke. Like,
I mean, I've met people like that before. It's just that that level of stupid, in my experience, is rare. Like,
it's not that
usually
rare.
stupid hides itself pretty well under a thin veneer of
Really?
of social graces and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You only really get to see that kind of stupid, whenever like their guard is let down or something like that.
Yeah. But like identifying as a tanky is like the red.
No, yeah. If
like
you're
waving
identifying
the
as a tanky, you're kind of like signing up. It's kind of like you kind of like, I think you get a card in the mail. It's like you're a card carrying stupid person.
yeah.
A card carrying moron.
Yeah.
I mean, and like how else
I identify as a moron.
one of the easiest
Yeah.
things to identify. Well,
I
easiest thing to
identify as a moron.
Yeah, tankies be like, I identify as a moron. He said.
Moron. Oh,
More on than off, yo.
we laugh, but that's going to be a thing. It's when they run out of identities. That's statistically going to be a thing.
Well, the joke was that if someone says I identify as a tanky, what they are telling you is I identify as a moron.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. Like everyone knows that that's not a tanky. Just like everyone other than the groypers, know that anybody that identifies as a groyper is a moron.
I mean,
That's
yeah.
true as well. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
definitely.
All these little
people that
extreme
identify as
fringe
groypers-
groups are only impressive.
Even
to
the
their own
word sounds bad.
people.
Even sounds
even
bad
the-
as a title. Like
I was
calling
gonna say-
yourself. I can't imagine calling yourself a groyper. It just sounds
Yeah.
like you're saying it sounds like you're saying groper, but you're mispronouncing it. You're like you're
Even-
too stupid to say the word groper
Like,
properly.
Even other white nationalists don't even like Nick Fuentes. Like, damn,
Yeah, I
how
don't know why everyone gets so like hyperventilated over him.
he's had his time in the limelight a couple of times. The recent time was with Kanye West. That was honestly
Yeah,
like
that's-
really like sad to see because it definitely felt like people like taking advantage of
Of a man going through a mental health crisis. Yes,
Yes.
I agree.
like not to say,
Kanye was clearly in a state of like neuropsychosis at the time.
Yeah.
I mean,
not to say that like it's necessarily impossible that he holds at least some of those opinions. He probably actually does now, but like
I think Kanye West has a different idea about every single possible thing he can have an idea about.
yeah.
About different. I think it changes about every 5 minutes for everything.
But I'm pretty sure I
don't
would
think-
have to guess that it's because he's not on his meds. I imagine if
Probably
he got
so,
on
but
his
I'm saying, but I don't think he has a cognizant, like cogent worldview that you could sit down with him. If you sit him 1 week and talk to him, and the next week talk to him, you get 5 different Kanye's, 5 different conversations about whatever. If you ask the same questions every time, you wouldn't get the same answers. They would definitely be different answers. He definitely needs to be on some medication or something like that, because he is actually genuinely kind of a genius as a producer.
Oh yeah, I mean he's a great artist.
I don't think he's a great artist per se, but as a producer, he's genuinely like brilliant.
Who y'all talking about? Oh, Kanye.
Kanye West.
Yeah, I mean, I do like Yeezus, and I do like My Twisted Dark Fantasy. I don't like many of his albums beyond those two, but like those 2 albums actually like made me stop and pay attention, because I wrote him off because like I worked at Tower Records. Like we used to play what was it, Graduation, and what's the other, is it The Dropout or whatever, right?
I want to niggle at this comment by Daniel for a little bit, because I think there's something important buried in it. Do we like music based on rational argument? Like, can someone convince you to like music that your body is just not responding to on its own?
No, not necessarily. No, I mean, I've learned to appreciate certain kinds of music that I kind of like on a guttural level do not enjoy. I
think people give more power to persuasion than it actually has over some things. Like
yeah. Because I was thinking about this. I was like,
and emotion and taste and identity and value, etc.
Because I was gonna say, like, you could probably give me an argument to convince me that like a piece of music is like I don't know, like
the church has tried to do that in the 80s.
musically like good and unique, but even that's like more of a value judgment that's not really based on any quantifiable.
don't need to like something to be able to appreciate it on a craftsmanship level. There's craftsmanship that goes into a lot of like music and stuff that I just don't enjoy, especially like a lot of death metal bands or
I don't care for a lot of prog rock.
A lot of prog rock is like that for me. Like, I mean, I like some prog rock. Don't get me wrong. I don't hate all prog rock, but there's a lot of prog rock bands that, I mean, I can tell because I played music enough to understand the fact that what they're doing is fucking amazing. It doesn't make me like it anymore. It doesn't make me like want to listen to it, but like I can definitely appreciate the fact that those guys are talented as fuck. They can play the fuck out of those instruments. Damn, and they were doing unique, weird shit with key changes and all this stuff like that. And it's all mind blowing, you know, in one way, and at the same time, I'm like, I could care less about listening to it, you know. I mean, I remember growing up listening. I mean, you know, there's classical music like that. There's classical music that, I mean, I'm not saying classical music in general is like that, but there's classical music pieces that I've listened to, and studied and stuff like that in school, and honestly, I was like, you know, I found them to be boring and underwhelming, and there must be masterpieces, you know, there's like masterpieces of music. I can't think of one at the moment because it's been years.
I guess movie songs.
I must be the weird one then, because I took a music appreciation course when I was a senior in high school, and I fucking loved that.
Yeah, I did too.
No, I took musical appreciation too in homeschool, but still I did a class on it, and I appreciate it, and that it did teach me to appreciate that music, but it didn't make me like it. You know what I mean? It didn't make me go out of my way to listen to it.
Yeah.
Sometimes
because it was the idea that people only like Kanye's music because Kanye's this like marketing genius that intellectually convinces people that his music is good despite their own artistic sense when they listen to it.
That's
themselves.
wrong. That's
like
wrong.
He can override
Kanye's
their
got
own
some good
experience because he's so persuasive, and he fools them into thinking the music's actually good, but they can't tell. I think people know good music when they hear it.
There's a lot of
people
artists
telling
out
them
there
things
like
are not
that.
going to change that much.
I agree. For example, I could say that like a lot of his popularity prior to My Twisted Dark Fantasy and Yeezus was a lot of it was hype and like his like Twitter presence and his bigger than larger than life personality kind of stuff and stuff like that. Because the albums, like we listened to them on loop, and someone put them into the rotation in Tower Records almost every day I worked there, and I worked there for a year. And so I have heard Graduation and Dropout like just a ton of times. I've heard those albums over and over and over and over again. And it wasn't even like I got sick of them. I never, except for like 2 or 3 songs, I never was impressed by anything about it. It was like you could put it next to a lot of other mainstream hip hop, and it just didn't stand out to me. But on the other hand, when he did My Twisted Dark Fantasy, and he started kind of like his lyrics got more like introspective and more like he was less. It was like more. There's more humor to it, and there's a lot of inventiveness. He started listening to. I mean, you know, like the stuff that Kanye was listening to at that time. He was listening to Bon Iver, and he was listening to like Sufjan Stevens. Those were the albums that were influencing him. I mean, that's insane that a hip hop artist is being influenced by those 2 artists. Period. And you know, he worked. And Bon Iver actually collaborated with him on several tracks too. And you know, so like I mean, like he really dug deep on those albums and made albums that, like, I mean, I was hardcore anti Kanye West up until I heard My Twisted Dark Fantasy, and a friend of mine basically forced me to listen to it. I was like, I do not care about Kanye West. Stop trying to make me listen to shit. And he was like, no, we're gonna listen to it. I'm putting it on right now, and you're gonna have to sit here and deal with it. And I was like, okay, whatever. And I was like, it was like this begrudging like God damn it, it's good, you know. It was like 3 songs in the album. It was just like, oh damn it, it is good.
Were you on anything?
Like that album at all?
I had a question for Lib.
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, I was researching since the other day when we were talking about the Abraham Accord.
Yeah.
And nowhere can I find anything about Jerusalem in there. Do you have something specific you can point to?
Yeah, I can.
The only specifics I found was on the West Bank, dealing with the West Bank. I couldn't find anything dealing with Jerusalem.
Ask the AI.
I don't use
Yeah,
AI,
I was
so
specifically talking about okay, so what I was referencing actually wasn't the Israel Accords. It was a initiative
Abraham.
by Donald Trump. But here we go.
oh, okay.
It was him. Hang on, where is
I
it?
think the embassy was moved to,
I
Jerusalem.
think the moving the
embassy,
capital or whatever to
yes,
Jerusalem, that was part of that was a different thing besides the Abraham Accords. But yeah, they were around the same time.
yeah.
I was just making sure I wasn't losing my mind reading
Yeah.
through this
No,
freaking
No,
document.
thank you for double checking on me, because I
And it
definitely
wasn't
misremembered that.
it wasn't to prove you wrong or anything. It's just I wanted to know.
Yeah, again, this is from 4 years ago. I'm perfectly fine with having been wrong on one thing that happened 4 years ago.
And I wasn't trying to prove you wrong. I was just trying to find, because I found it interesting that you brought it up. So I was actually interested in finding it for myself.
Yeah, no. I mean, the Abraham Accords, I have my issues with them, but they're not like super significant, really, other than the fact that I think I have criticized, at least, to myself, if not here or like publicly or to other people, many presidents for their for the way they deal with the Israel-Palestine situation, because I do think there is a we could be doing better. And
Yeah. Well, the biggest problem with that situation from the get-go is, don't you, that nobody else would back Palestine.
Yeah.
I'm talking about their neighbors,
Exactly.
Egypt, Jordan.
Oh yeah,
Lebanon.
It's not like a lot of times we'll like group all these people together and be like, ah, yes, these are Arabs, but like, no, these are like a bunch of very distinct ethnic groups. It's like the
Misfits,
Balkans.
yeah.
It's like the Balkans, okay? 10 miles away, there is another country that has people of slightly different skin tone, of slightly different religious beliefs, and you think they all deserve to die.
Wait, say that again.
The 50 miles away, there is another country, and like of people who are culturally similar to you, religiously almost exactly similar to you, and yet you think they deserve to die. Like
it's kind of like
Are
up
you
there
talking
with
about the Israelis and the Gazans? Because that's what
no. I'm talking about like Saudi Arabians and Egyptians and Iraqis and Iranians and Jordanians and Egyptians, like
the Turkey and
Turks and the fucking everybody. Nobody likes the Turks.
Yeah.
Like,
but there's a particular group that they really.
Oh, Kurdistan.
I think I'm missing the larger point. I don't know what.
My point is, many times people will say, well, why don't the Palestinians, fellow Arabs, help them out? And the thing that you have to remember is that, like, in that region of the world, they don't view themselves as like Arabs collectively. The perception over there widely is like it is in like places like Europe, or like the Balkans is a better example, because there's a lot of ethnic tensions that go on in the Balkans, and that's the same way there is in the Middle East. There is a lot of ethnic tensions in the Middle East. A lot of these groups.
Oh, is it the three groups of Islam, or is each country its own?
It's more of, so it is more of an ethnic thing than a country. Like, so. Because
is it religious or ethnic or both? Or
yes, it's all of these things sort of like combined, because
tribalism.
Like, yeah, but it's like different, like weird overlapping versions, because you do have the Shia versus Sunnis, but then you also have like there are like specific ethnic groups that like they really hate, and those ethnic groups aren't confined to one country. Like the Kurds is a great example. Fucking half of the Middle East hates the Kurds, and the Kurds as an ethnic group exist in like 4 Middle Eastern countries, like the Saudi Arabians, and all of those, I guess, like petro states, the UAE,
Yeah. Kuwait, Qatar.
Kuwait,
They're all
Qatar.
polluted.
Qatar, yeah.
Yeah,
Climate
those,
polluted.
all of those countries are like consist of primarily one ethnicity, at least one ethnicity holding the reins of power. They have a lot of people they have imported to do their manual labor, but like that, neither here nor there. Those groups, they hate like every other Middle Eastern ethnicity, and the Iranians hate the Iraqis.
Right. I'm still not hearing anything.
I think
that
it's
doesn't
mainly about
sound like
religion,
Bronze
though.
Age tribalism. This sounds normal, human, Homo sapien dynamics.
The kinds of tensions I'm talking about, I am comparing them to the Balkans, which is not a positive thing.
I don't know anything about that.
There's a lot of ethnic tensions that have in the
Right,
last.
but those ethnic tensions have been there since I was a kid. I remember them on the news when I was growing up.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. These are like uniquely ethnically tense places.
Yeah.
Like you don't see these kinds of ethnic tensions in like Western
But I
Europe.
forgot the larger point of why you're making this point.
Because
That's
because
what
there
I'm losing track
because there
of.
are many people who will, as an attempt at a gotcha, be like, well, all the Arabs should just take care of their fellow Palestinians, as if like.
I mean, to be fair, I almost never hear. Like, I don't really hear people.
I've heard you say that.
No, one
You've heard
reason I
me
heard
say it?
why.
Yes.
No,
why
I
don't?
For
Why
what I
don't?
understand, it's like nobody there wants to fool with the Palestinians. Like their own neighbors don't even want it.
No, one reason I heard why they that. Well, to be fair,
I don't remember
I
saying
heard that
all the Arab
Egypt-
world should unite and help the Palestinians live. That
No.
seems like a weird thing for me to
No.
say.
You said
Sorry,
what,
can I speak?
you asked me. Sorry, I do need to make sure that I'm attributing to Jeff the correct thing. Is that you have said that you've asked me why don't some of the neighboring Arab states take in Palestinians?
Oh, take in Palestine, not help.
As if like
unite
them,
and help them
as
fight a
if them
war.
being like Arabs, like
I didn't say because they're Arabs, because they're
some
neighboring. I
shared-
don't care what ethnicity the countries are. I didn't tie it to Arabness specifically. I just said, well, why don't the neighboring countries take in the refugees? And it turns out because they're troubled. They don't want them there.
Well, it's because there's ethnic tensions, Jeff. It's because it's like there's groups of people.
All right, but I never said the Arab world should unite and help the Palestinians fight the war against Israel. That's not what I said. If I asked the question once about why don't neighboring countries take in refugees, that's not close to how you framed it.
That's the question I remember that you just laid out, Jeff.
Yeah, it got run through the distortion machine somehow, and I don't want something attributed to me that I didn't say.
Well, one reason I heard why the Egypt don't they don't want to piss off America is because they get loads of military aid. They get like $3 billion a year from America, the Egyptians.
Yeah.
And,
admittedly, the reason why America doesn't want Egypt to take in Palestinian refugees is because if they are like if they're refugees and they flee, then they're like many of the other Palestinian refugees, like in Jordan, that they're not going to ever get to go back to where they were, and they're just going to be stuck stateless.
Why is that our business? Like, can't that be between Egypt and Gaza? I thought Egypt didn't want to take them in to begin with, not because we were telling them not to.
Correct.
No, but okay. So we don't have to tell Egypt, don't take in Palestinians every time.
You said we don't want Egypt to do this. Like, do we have control?
Because that would. Well, the reason why is because it's like, okay, you remember the Syrian refugee crisis?
Not really.
You weren't like on the internet.
I'm an American. I don't pay attention.
You talking about when they made the autonomous zone up there?
Can you accept that? No, I don't remember. Like, we don't have to have a whole rabbit hole of why I don't remember. Just I don't remember. I didn't follow the Syrian refugee crisis. Can you go on with your conversation?
When you have waves of refugees that causes tremendous destabilization in the region that it happens. You can look at Syria now and see the results of that. And the Israel Gaza thing is even bigger of a powder keg because Hamas is supported by Iran, who is like a geopolitical enemy of Israel. And so if waves of Palestinians were to become refugees and destabilize the region, everyone in the region would then blame Israel. Whether or not that's justified, we don't have to say whether or not it is, because they will, because that's what happens in these situations. It's the same reason.
I heard that.
I'm lost
the reason
again
why
about the point. The
I heard
larger
Hamas.
point.
Sorry, there. I heard Hamas are Sunni, and the Iranians are Shia, but the Iranians still support Hamas because of politics. They hate Israel more than.
Well, I mean,
signal keeps going out. I'm missing some of the words.
I mean, yes, Iran does hate Israel quite a bit. But it's like,
I don't know why.
I don't, religion. I'm to my understanding, Hamas being Sunni is not like unique to Iran. Like Iran just supports like terrorist cells that will make trouble for their geopolitical enemies. They're not like like they are an Islamist state. However, they're a surprisingly rational one. In that, like, they don't.
But I heard that atheism is growing in Iran, which is good.
Well,
a lot of people now going.
It's been like, I mean, just secularism in general has been on the rise in Iran for a long time. I mean, there were periods in living memory, in people's living memory, where Iran was on its way to becoming like a Western, like liberal democracy. But then Islamist dictators.
What happened? Was that in 1979 or after?
I want to say it was the 70s, though I could be wrong, and it could be the 80s.
Because I was part of. I remember part of that. They taught us it in school, but something about we interfered, like we got some guy elected that.
The Shah of Iran. Yeah.
Which again, we have well, I mean, yes, but like it's our fault in the same way that like settler colonialism is Great Britain's fault. Like, yeah, we did do a lot of it, but it is worth noting that not all like regime changes are done by America. America isn't the only one who does regime changes. This is a function that a lot of powerful countries do to less powerful countries.
Mm-hmm.
We have just done so sometimes to not just like the detriment of the people who live there, but to like the detriment of the region. And Iran is one of those situations. We've also done regime changes, and those regime changes improve things.
Libya is another good example.
Was that Gaddafi? I remember Gaddafi growing up.
I think we're the ones that got him in power.
He
was always in the news over something.
Because our big thing is that like it's in the Middle East, like a lot of times your choices, your realistic choices of who's going to be in power are autocratic, like secularist dictators or jihadist militant groups, and it is much easier for the United States to control a singular autocratic secular dictator than it is to control or influence, rather. I guess I should use more proper terminology. It's much easier to influence. Yeah, it's much easier to influence. Again, like just because we got like helped with the Shah of Iran's coup, did not mean that like we controlled them. We just gave them support.
That was our thinking, was that he would be easier to control than a militant.
Well, give us a foot in the door.
Yeah, like and also for what it's worth, like as we've seen with like the Taliban taking retaking control in Afghanistan, it's not like the people in those countries are like doing great under the jihadist militant groups.
Oh, I'm sure they're fine.
I mean, again, like I do think if
Party over there every day. Party all the time.
if the United States had a choice, we would turn every Middle Eastern country into South Korea. But we can't do that because it's not that simple. Like, so we have done a lot of regime changes, many of which did not work out in any way, shape, or form. Though we don't do them
For anyone.
Yeah, for anyone really. Though admittedly, we don't really do them much now. We
That
did
we know of.
That you know of.
I don't know why I'm getting so lost today in the conversation. I still don't know the point, like where the point of regimes change is going.
Well, that was a spin-off of
okay,
the
that's why I'm
thing.
thrown
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
I think
It was because we were
I
talking.
think I'm not tracking this today for some reason.
We were talking about Iran.
There's
It
so many
started-
tiny little countries
Daniel,
all across the Middle East and Europe and stuff like that we could be doing regime changes right now and no one would even know.
that is very naive to believe that. Oh no, Daniel Price put in the chat the reason why Iran is hostile towards us. Yeah, it's not that they want all Israeli people to die; they want the death of the Israeli government because it was an illegally established state. That is high in the sky thinking.
No, hang on. I have a tweet I was going to share earlier from Zarathustra's Serpent, who is Israeli, that came across my Twitter today, and it talks about exactly
I do like
this.
him. I actually
also
do
an
like that guy.
Israeli peace activist.
Yeah.
Here's what he has to say on the topic. Israelis accept that Palestinians have the right to self-determination. Even our right-wing prime ministers have all said it. I have been an Israeli peace activist for many years and have yet to encounter even one Palestinian who says Jews have the right to self-determine. They do not want them in the land. Israel is willing to coexist. The Palestinians are not. They are making themselves the problem. This guy says he did find Palestinians that want peace on the internet. And he asked, what do you mean by want peace? Do they openly say that they recognize the right of the Jewish nation to have a nation state in its homeland? Very important phrasing. Some do, however little there are. So there we go.
Yes, that's the biggest problem. Is they don't want Israel to exist, period.
And neither does Iran. They are an existential threat to Israel.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah. No, it's pie in the sky thinking that like Iran like wants to do this out of some like weird. Let me read. It's something in the
Back to the quote.
It's not that they want all Israeli people to die. It's they want the Israeli government. I know that's like it is definitely true that there are definitely rational actors within the Iranian government who are like in their head being like, you know, Israel is a illegitimate state, and that is why it must be
legitimate now. Like it has been for decades.
No, I'm aware of. I'm saying
the reality now.
Yes, I'm saying I'm sure there is some Iranian who's thinking this in their head. However, Iran is like a theocracy. Okay, they're run by jihadists who ideologically do want to kill all Jews. Like it doesn't stop at Israelis for the Iranian government.
They've said this.
Well, so oftentimes they use Jew and Israeli very interchangeably, which you
how
could brush it off as
in their charters pretty explicitly what their plan. Has Iran come out and put out anything similar where yes, we want to kill all these Jews?
I actually don't know if they've done that in like recent, like since the current iteration of the Iranian government. I do know that a bunch of Arab states in like the I think 50s put out similar statements, you know, to that degree. I don't know if it was using that language explicitly, but it was using language implying things like that.
And when was this, you said?
This was in like the 50s or something. This was really soon after Israel. Like this was like
So,
in the
so
early
nothing
years when they had.
recent,
Yeah,
right?
no. Like
Okay.
I don't know if Iran, the current government, has issued such a statement. That would be, I think, a little
It
like
seemed
on
like
the
we
nose
know
for them.
about it. Like it would be all over social
Yeah,
media.
I don't think they do. Though again, they support many jihadist terrorist groups who do
That's all
make
we
that
like.
statement.
Didn't
So like
weren't
that's
they
all I care. Yeah,
supposedly one of
that's
the
all I care.
supporters of
Yeah,
Hamas?
that's all I care about. I don't care if like in their head, every Iranian political leader like doesn't actually want to kill all the Jews. They actually do just want to dismantle the Israeli state. The fact is they are supporting people who are on the ground attempting to kill all Jews. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's like the main issue with the Iranian government. Like they're not like I do think they are probably the most rational actor in the Middle East, excluding maybe Saudi Arabia. But like I don't think that means that they're invulnerable to their ideological biases.
Rational?
Which,
You think Iran are rational? They're not the best country. Like
well,
they
yeah,
support loads of
I'm
Yemen and Lebanon.
I'm
and-
aware. I'm saying, but like in comparison to the states that surround them, they are pretty rational.
No,
Like,
Iran are actually more dangerous. They're smart, but they're actually more dangerous than all the stupid ones like Iraq. They're smarter, so
first,
they're more dangerous.
well, I mean, I think they have more access to more power. Iran is one of the premier powers in the Middle East, which I do think has sobered their government to some degree, which is why they are, instead of always directly Seder rabbling against Israel, they only occasionally do it, and mostly do it through proxies, because
Yeah.
that's the way things are done now, is through proxies.
Well, I think there is a pretty large Jewish segment in Iran.
Oh
that
yeah,
is
no,
a lot.
there is.
So it's more they're against the state of as opposed to people of.
Well, see, the thing is, like, I imagine a lot of their propaganda probably does focus around that, talking about the state of Israel. However, I have definitely seen like Iranian state propaganda where they're talking about not Israel, but they're talking about Jews.
Well, Daniel has a good question. Why do they allow synagogues in Iran?
Because like not everyone in Iran is like fully on board with like doing the Holocaust too. And
But
even
why
though
do they don't have to allow synagogues.
Yeah, they got enough control of their country. They can do what they want.
I mean,
This is a good question.
They could theoretically. However,
Because
like
it's creating some dissonance with the picture you're trying to paint, and it needs to be addressed for me to fully.
I mean, my big thing is I don't care whether or not the people in government do actually, in their heads, in their minds, want to kill all Jews, because they are directly supporting proxy terrorist groups who do. Which to me is like the main danger. Like,
okay, but they could be doing it not because they hate Jews, but for strategic reasons.
I mean, I do think strategic reasons play into it, but like, I think the reason why that they are the likely reason as to why they are aligning with groups that like want to kill all Jews is because they share at least some of those ideological precepts,
Likely based on what?
based off
That
of the
came
fact
from the
that
50s?
in the past,
From the 50s?
no. I'm saying
Just
like
like the
throughout
racism and everything, like the
throughout
world, no one moved on
throughout
from the 50s except for the
no,
progressives.
throughout history, as in all of history, when countries and nation states, though nation states have only been around for a while, but before that we called them countries and kingdoms, and they functioned
Okay.
very similarly. They would you would get with people who ideologically were aligned with you to some degree. Maybe not everything, but like there were a number of ways in which people could be ideologically aligned. In Europe, for a long time, it was like on the kind of sect of Christianity you were, and people would,
Let me cut through all this. I still don't understand if you think the reason is because secretly they hate Jews as much as these other groups.
I don't.
Why would they allow synagogues?
Because they're the
If they
head
have
of
this
a
secret, if they have this hatred for Jews, overt or secret, why would they allow synagogues?
because they are the head. They are in charge of a big and diverse powerhouse of a country, and like making those kinds of enormous changes to Iranian society, it isn't even like something that like even dictators have to a degree respect the will of the people, because if you don't, then you
But they
get things like
secretly hate Jews, like they're
Syria.
chomping at the bit to, but
No,
it's like their own society
I'm saying
that's just like the racists here in America are just secretly waiting to go out and terrorize black people, but the culture
I have
just holds them back. They have to
already
keep it in and just see while they
I
run
have
their country.
already said that I don't care whether or not they are. I'm sure there are people like that in
But
the Iranian
but you
government.
did make the claim that it's more likely that they are. So you can't say you don't care and then stake a position at the same time, because that's what I'm trying to understand is how you think it's more likely that they are supporting it out of anti-Semitism.
Based on the fact that there is a disproportionate issue in the Muslim world with anti-Semitism. Like, I'm sorry, I thought we were presupposing that.
No, you were trying to paint Iran as being motivated by hatred for, like, an emotional hatred for Jews. Like, outside of just strategy, there's also this animus toward Jews that they share with the
it's an
other groups
ideological
they're
thing.
supporting.
It's an ideological opposition, I think, primarily. Like, I don't think you need every single Iranian
All right,
to be.
then even if it's ideological, if it's an ideological opposition, so they're aligned, why would they allow synagogue? If they're that opposed to this thing, why would they let it in their own country? That's where they have the ability to most affect it and eliminate it.
Because they have people in their country, and doing things that upsets too many people in your population causes internal issues that they don't want to deal with, or else they turn into like Syria. And Iran doesn't want to turn into Syria.
That's very thin. I'm not buying. It seems a little specious to me.
What that?
Anyway,
But
it's maybe religion.
then you said you don't care anyway if they hate Jews or not. Like, so it does, like, the whole argument is pointless, because
Well, no,
for the
what
sake
I
of the
said is
larger
I don't care.
conversation, it doesn't matter to you either way.
Yes, I made like an offhand comment, and like it got kind of blown out of proportion because I was
Me asking a question of why you think it's likely is blowing it out of proportion.
No,
I think
simple. It's simple,
I
guys.
think okay.
Iran hates Israel,
Mhm.
and Israel hates Iran,
Mhm.
and America is trying to save Israel because they're small, but they've got a lot of power because they're Jews, and they're special.
Well, they have a lot of power because
They're
the United
special.
States.
Iran's
The
States
Jews are
funded them for a long
special.
time.
They're the chosen people. Okay, and Iran could suck itself. And we're not going to nuke Iran, though. We don't do that. And Gaza, we shouldn't have done that the Jews should have went in there and like I don't know what they could have done instead. They could have like blockaded the place or something
They did
and
do
like
that.
had like special forces in there. But I guess they just decided to
Well,
bomb
but
the shit out of
they
it.
get to do what they want. They don't have to do it the way you think they should.
No, but America should have told them what to do because America
No,
owns them.
no,
their
that's
asses.
that's what self-determination is, dude.
I mean, I don't think
Yeah,
we
but
should tell them what
bro,
to do. However, I do think that we
it-
should be. We have considerable influence over Israel that I don't think we have been willing to exert as much
Yeah, I
as we have
respect
in the
that.
past.
I respect honoring another nation's right to self-determination. That reflects my values.
How far does that go, though?
I don't know. We'll see.
How far? How
It
far? How,
hasn't
no, no, no,
gotten
no,
any-
no. Okay.
I don't
let me
have an
clarify.
abstract future scenario to use. I
Then let
will
me-
keep
then
an
let me-
eye on it, and if at some point that line changes, I'll let you know. I'm not even worried that it's going to get anywhere close.
Then let me ask you a question about a historical example, and you can tell me whether or not you
Okay.
think that
What's your
other
example?
countries should have intervened. So Vietnam.
I'm not. I'm still out on that one because some of our motives for being there I support. So that might
Like
be a
what?
bad example. If you want to use like World War II or something, or maybe Japan.
I mean, I wanted to use something other than World War II for once, but
Oh.
I do think World War II probably is the best example of talking about like
Like
self-determination
we
for
didn't get involved
nation
until we
state.
were attacked, and I think
I'm
that's
aware.
perfectly an appropriate reason and time to get involved. So
Sure,
I don't think we
I'm
crossed any kind of line there. Either.
I'm asking you though about other countries who were not directly attacked and yet intervened. What is like your
What's one of them, and what motivated them to intervene?
Great Britain?
Okay, how did they get involved?
Uh,
Go ahead.
They sent the British Expeditionary Forces to France.
But weren't they part of the alliance? Like, didn't they have treaties and stuff that
Sure,
as part of the alliance?
sure. But like when they sent those troops there, Germany didn't do like invasions per se. They just remilitarized the Rhine. Britain began intervention over Germany reasserting control over a part of their own country. Now that was in violation of a treaty, fair, but one could argue that the Treaty of Versailles was a dystopian hellscape that was destroying Germany,
So
and that Germany needed to self-determine their own like borders and stuff, that they shouldn't have been dictated by another nation state.
and that was Britain.
Well, France mostly, because of World War I, France took the biggest beating, and so they pushed for basically the fucking harshest penalties on Germany as they could.
Okay.
Do you think that Britain should have begun intervening before, like, because like they were intervening
can't
before
answer
France
that
even got
based
invaded.
on the information you just gave me. I would need to know way more than that. But it sounds like the leadership at the time, or the people whose responsibility it was to figure it out for that situation, did. They used their best judgment, let's assume, and that's the call they made.
Yeah.
A future situation is going to look different. There's going to be different people and etc. So that's going to be evaluated probably in a different way.
But they did decide to intercede on another country self-determining something that was going on in their own country. And they they decided to
Right.
intervene.
I don't know I don't know the build up to that. So I just with your story, I don't have enough to go on.
So, but okay.
But
So
if we intervene in Israel, we're going to watch it play out real time. So I'll have much more of an awareness of what led up to that specific decision. I would have to have that version of it for Britain in the war. And that's just a gap in my own education.
Also, for what it's worth, though, when I am talking about, and the reason why the Britain example is so useful is because when I am talking about the United States exerting its influence to its a more full extent on Israel. I am just talking about like diplomacy, like doing like, hey,
Oh, I
look.
thought we were
we're-
already doing that. Joshua Jones was in Beirut like a week or two
Oh
after.
no. So we are, but we have in the past exerted more of a firmer influence over Israel.
Oh, when do we start telling Israel what to do instead of leaving it up to them?
Basically, yeah. Like, do you think there is ever a justifiable point to like look at another country like and be like, hey, look, if you don't stop doing this, we will stop like trading with you?
Well, there's certainly been points in history where countries have done that. So you
Do-
could
do
look
you-
at
yeah.
those for an
No.
idea of the situations that a country might do that.
But you do think that's that is a potentially justifiable thing to do. That is a like
It could be a potentially justifiable thing to do.
that's
under the
all
right
that's all I was.
circumstance. What
Yeah.
that circumstance is specific to each
Yes.
historical situation.
Yeah, that I'm not trying to make a claim about this specific circumstance, only that there are definitely circumstances where it is like not just like a good idea like from like a practical level,
Yeah,
but like
but
it's
I
more
like
justified.
I can in no way connect that to Israel currently.
I was just trying because you had said we don't have a right. You have pushed back on me, at least in
Well,
previous
because
conversations. Talking
you
about
said that it like America should have told Israel this, or maybe it was Sean, but somebody on here, and I'm like, Israel has the right to self-determination. I respect a country that honors that, and if the U.S. is allowing them to have that, then that makes me admire the U.S.
Jeff,
even more.
Jeff, the reason why Israel is so powerful is that they get loads of help from America in the first place. So,
Well, partly
not
we
as-
do have
yeah.
treaties with Israel.
Yeah, and we
So
do supply them with a lot of things. However, it is worth noting that before October 7th, a vast majority of the stuff that we provided them was just like refills for their Iron Domes. It was like defensive measures. Israel is usually doesn't get.
Yeah, but the only reason why Israel is a state is because of the help of the UK and
It's a
the
state
UN
because
and
it's
America.
been a state,
So
and that has nothing
if-
to do with its right to self-determination. Whether it gets help or not, it still has the right to determine its own course of action.
that doesn't mean that doesn't mean it should do a crime, though. I mean, if Israel does a crime,
Yeah,
we
well, you
gonna
know
let
what?
do it?
They already
bad
have
one?
people in place whose job it is to determine that. So I don't even have to worry about that. If
Yeah,
they're
like-
doing crimes, they have an investigative process in place already.
So like my whole point was just to make sure that you weren't saying that if the US were to ever do something like firmer than just nod and smile at Israel, that you would. I just wanted to make sure. Like
you're trying to trap me into some kind of absolutist dogmatic position.
No,
like
it's because you have pushed back on me when I've talked about how the U.S. should could justifiably exert diplomatic
I think
pressure.
it was Sean. I think like Sean's the one that thinks that the U.S. should have done more already, and we didn't do enough. So it was probably Sean that I was directed to. I don't remember, but
I mean,
whoever
I
thought
mean,
that we should interfere more than we have.
yeah, I mean, the US could easily say to Israel, "Stop bombing," and they'll probably do it.
Yeah, but
because
I
America-
respect that they don't, because that is encroaching on Israel's right to self-determination. Yeah, the US
but
could
we
do all
do
that,
it to
but
other
I like
countries.
that.
America does it to Europe. America helped Europe with the Nazis.
So
you could
I
easily
think
do
the
it with
less
Israel.
we do it, the better. The less we do it, the better.
I don't think the less.
I
if we
understand
can
why you
refrain
don't
from
like
doing it
that.
this time, I support that.
I don't agree with that.
I understand
position.
why-
I don't think the less we exert influence is the better, because I think that's really naive. Because the thing is, if we were to stop exerting influence on other countries, it's not like those countries would be free, like would be better off necessarily, because then
You're
powerful
talking
countries.
very general. I don't even know what particular countries you talk about.
Russia
They're
and China.
probably all different. So
It's Russia and China.
okay, so you're having a conversation I didn't even know we were having, because I wasn't talking about specifically those two countries.
Well, those are the only two.
I said, let me repeat, all I said was in general, I think the less we interfere with anyone's right to self-determination, the better. If we can avoid doing it, I support that. So if we can get the ratio or the percentage of the proportion down, that is more in line with my vision for us as a country. That's all I'm saying. I'm not talking about specific countries. I'm not talking about the times we have done it in the past or might need to do it in the future. I'm just saying in general, the less we do it, the more I would support something like that. So I don't want my larger point to get lost.
No, I think that's a pretty good and succinct way of giving your point. I think that encompasses. I mean, I disagree, but like
Right. I think you and Sean want us to
That's your
interfere
opinion, man.
more than I do because I think you value self-determination less than I do. And that is the value that's driving me to wish for less intervention from the United States.
I don't necessarily want
some
more.
other value that's rationalizing more intervention than I would.
It has well, maybe it might be more intervention than you. I just want us to intervene better. Like I like it when we intervene and people's lives are made better. I don't like it when we intervene and bad shit happens. So
are we not building?
To me, that's separate than the frequency. Like the times we do need to intervene, I want us to do it as intelligently as possible as well. Yeah. But I could still argue for that frequency being reduced as much as possible. I don't think we're opposed. I just think we're talking about two different levels of it.
I mean, I do think that there definitely have been points where we've been intervening too much, notably, the mid 20th century. But like that was not just because we were doing it too much. It's also because like we were doing it irresponsibly. We were like, finding a militant group in a country and being like, hey, yo, will you support the United States being here and sort of being in control here? Here's $8 million. Which I think is broadly not responsible intervention.
But it's also something that you said that countries do. Like it's not unusual historically for countries to do that.
Yeah, no, it's not.
You just want us to be more moral than any country that's ever existed on Earth before.
Well, I mean, for what it's worth, we don't do that anymore. Like,
well, good.
Yeah, no,
it sounds like we're moving in the direction.
Yeah, well, a large part of it was the realization that like it doesn't work in the long term.
Okay, so like the thing you wishing for, you got. So, so you're happy now.
Sometimes, like we have had our ebbs and flows, obviously, but we are doing better now than we were doing 70 years ago. But I will still like point out the times where like recently I've been like, hey, we intervened here and we fucked up. Maybe we could have done better next time. Let's do better next time. And we're doing that.
I think we generally learn from our mistake. Like, I don't see us as a country that keeps doing the same bullheaded thing over and over and over and not learning from things. So I'm confident there. I have no worries.
Are we not almost done building that mobile port for Palestine to supply food to them?
Yes, we are.
The U.S. military.
Yes.
Go U.S.
Even though Israel didn't want us to, they went ahead and did it anyway.
Yeah.
Oh. I didn't know Israel didn't want us there.
Yes, they.
I would get Israel permission, or Gaza's, whoever's waters they're going into.
Well, the problem is that the reason why we were doing that is because there was some pretty extreme famine going on in southern Gaza at the time, and the food being allowed in by Israel was not sufficient to keep.
So we're just going around it. We're not necessarily going through Israel against their will. No. We're just going around them.
Well, Israel doesn't. Israel did not want the United States to do it, and did not help us do this. But the United States.
But just like we can't tell Israel what to do, they can't tell us what to do with another country that's not theirs. So that's it's not Israel's business what we decide to do with other countries.
Technically Gaza's in Israel, but that's a separate.
I thought it was a territory.
It's a territory of Israel. It belongs to. I mean,
It's like a neighborhood
To me, let me see.
right now.
yeah, the West Bank.
It's a Palestinian territory. How does it belong to Israel?
Because who controls who goes in and out of the Gaza Strip and the West
I'm
Bank?
talking about geopolitically for the argument we're having about self-determination. It does not fall under Israel's right to self-determination.
Well, sure, like philosophically,
So
but I'm
if the
talking.
U.S. wants
I'm
to
talking
do any
practically.
kind of transaction with it, that's Israel can say whatever they want.
Well, I'm
It
talking
doesn't
practically.
matter.
I'm talking practically though, because practically Israel has pretty absolute control over the Gaza Strip and the West Bank.
But I thought Chuck said, or you said that we were doing like going here and going around all that, so that we don't.
Well,
we're not
we're
going
building
through Israel.
Yeah, we don't have to get our
So
trucks.
then my
through
point
in Israel
stands.
anymore.
You're. Yeah, there was no point in this the last 2 minutes of this conversation because you're exactly what I said is what you're saying.
That Israel wouldn't let us take it in through one of their ports, so we had to build a port of our own in Gaza,
Right.
and then just directly
I
get
get
the stuff into Gaza. Yes,
I get
that
point was that we have the right to do that, and Israel can say whatever the fuck they want. They have no right to interfere with our right to self-determination, same as we should not be interfering with theirs. If we want to do whatever with Gaza, we can do that. I was making a point about self-determination and making an illustration of.
Yeah, and the point I was trying to make was that we might be supporting Israel in one regard, but we're still trying to help the Palestinians in another regard.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of waited until the last second to do that here in this specific case, but
so
the United States went straight to Egypt to open that border.
Self-determined. It's still self-determined.
Wait, say that again, Chuck. Sorry.
The United States went straight to Egypt because Egypt closed the border between Gaza and Egypt. The United States went to Egypt to open the border to allow humanitarian aid into the country.
Yeah, Egypt's not because they're bastards.
Well, they allowed some.
After
you can whine and cry and call them names, but they have reasons for doing it.
Yeah, no. I mean, their reasons are primarily.
They're not just sitting there twirling their mustache to say we're bastards. No. This is a chance.
No, they don't want to piss off Israel.
Well, they refused to take in. The biggest problem, they closed the border because they did not want to take in any Palestinian refugees. Because the ruling class of Egypt, which is the Muslim brother, or whatever they're called, the brotherhood that's in Egypt, do not like the Palestinians, and they did not want them in their country. That's why they closed off the border to refugees.
I mean,
and Lib has opinions about that, even though it's not his country.
Well, just because it's not my country doesn't mean I can't know things about stuff going on there.
I didn't say no, I said opinions.
The sad part is it's not a black and white, clear-cut definition of what is right and what is wrong. Because there's so many other factors involved.
Any country, Egypt, whatever, has the right to say, no, we don't want these people in our country.
Self-autonomy,
you have the right to
they do.
who you want in your house.
Yeah, no, they do. I'm not saying they don't.
So it's not even right or wrong. It's that we just have all agreed as a planet at this point in history that nations have the right to self-determine. So whether we think it's right or wrong, if as long as they're operating within that right that we've agreed to grant each other, then I don't see that I don't see how morality.
What happened? I do actually have a question though. In this situation, what happens when one country violates someone else's right, like right to self-determination?
Well,
like,
that's where we have like treaties, alliances, that kind of stuff. Like Russia and Ukraine. To me, Russia violated Ukraine's right to self-determination.
Yeah, no, they objectively did. That's what an invasion is.
And then all the alliances and treaties went into action, and the negotiations and the diplomacy, etc.
Well,
So they weren't just allowed to do it. It activated some kind of counter response.
I mean, it didn't have to. For what it's worth, it didn't have to. There were no
You're right.
treaties there were no treaties obligating any country.
I don't know. I honestly don't know how
Ukraine was not in NATO at the time.
Is that led to, because I deliberately stopped following it at some point. But I assume that it went through, like, these decisions were made somehow according to some heuristic.
I mean, like the decision to support Ukraine, the decision of other countries to support Ukraine in there. Yes. Those decisions were mostly based on like on the ground diplomacy, not as much treaties.
Whatever they were determined by each.
No.
I figure out, okay, what do we want to do here?
Yeah. I'm just saying that like it wasn't treaties that instigated.
Well, I don't know that in every case there weren't some treaties involved, but this is a pointless thing to argue about because it's not even the point I'm making. It's getting caught up in weeds that are not even.
No, because I was just trying to. I just wanted to.
Like, there may have been treaties involved in some cases. I think my sound just went out. Hang on.
Can you hear us?
Now I can.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I did get off topic, but
yeah, I still don't know what the larger topic.
I mean, I think
something about Iran and Israel way back.
And I didn't bring this up to start an argument. I was just trying to get clarification on a question was all.
Weirdly enough, I actually don't even think we were really having a particularly like argument. Like we were mostly like discussing semantics more than having an argument, I think.
Yeah. Bad choice of word. It was getting a little heated.
Yeah, I mean, I think broadly, Jeff and I actually agree on most of this. Even I would even actually even say our standards for intervention are probably similar.
I don't know. My window, I see this on an individual level between us too. My window for self-determination is drawn much wider than I think yours is for individuals and countries. You seem ready to interfere much sooner than I am.
Yes, it also though depends on like the situation.
Like, you don't want the United States to supply Israel with any kind of aid, whereas Jeff is in full agreement with aid.
No, I'm okay with aid, and I'm actually even okay with us supplying the Iron Dome ammo because it's a defensive weapon and it's a genuinely needed defensive weapon. I do have more of an issue with us selling them offensive weaponry, but that's just like
I don't have a problem with it. They're in the middle of a defensive war and they're our ally. I don't have a problem with it.
It's more I have an issue with the specific kinds. Like I think us selling them like F-35s is fine. We've been getting ready to sell them F-35s for a long time. And F-35s can be used in to a great degree in counterinsurgency operations. Artillery pieces and artillery shells are not as useful in those kinds of operations.
Well, why don't the military hire you as a strategist instead of the people currently making these decisions? Because it's not like you know better than the people in charge.
The people in the Pentagon also know that you don't use mass.
So why are they doing something substandard like this?
Well, we're not giving it to it. We are selling it. Israel is buying it. Israel's like,
so it's Israel's choice to buy this instead of the fancy stuff that we could be selling it.
But yeah, I'm saying I think that we should be selling them like things that can be used to
instead of letting them decide what to buy. That's like you going to the store and the salesperson telling you what you have to buy instead of letting you decide what you're there to buy. Again, that encroachment on self-determination. That's our line.
Wait,
you draw it differently than I do.
I'm saying the United States should have the self-determination to say, Israel, we will sell you these kinds of things, but we will not sell you these kinds of things. And I believe that the United States has the right to do that and I think that we should exercise that right. I don't. Obviously, there are many people who disagree with me, but I'm just saying that that is my position. That we should be able to exercise our right, and we ought to exercise that right to not.
Why would we do that instead of just letting Israel decide what they need for their war?
Because like
it's to influence the war, to get them to do it the way we think they should do it.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's the motive behind what you're saying that would make me not want to support it, because it's a way of sneaking in less self-determination.
It's not. I'm not sneaking it in. I do pretty clearly and openly want us to influence more the way that Israel is conducting the war. I don't think
I thought you were all about us not interfering as much in other countries and doing regime change and all that. But you do want us to interfere when you want us to interfere.
I think we should be interfering when we can do good, and I think that
I think we should let Israel do this and like be there to support them when they ask for it, but not try to control the process. Let them do it. We're an ally and a resource, but we're not in the driver's seat.
We are.
I can tell that really bothers you, but we're not. This is not our fight. This is theirs.
Oh no! This isn't our fight. But to say that, okay, you're right.
Okay, I'm glad you realize that. You're going to start trying to make it our fight, though.
You
with
aren't
all the buts and qualifications. Watching.
You aren't. We aren't. You're right. We aren't in the driver's seat, but we own the car. We pay for the gas, and we pay for the insurance.
It's Israel's car.
Oh, sorry. They pay for the gas. That is what it is.
It's Israel's, like all of that. So
we give Israel
it's still their car.
Significant amount of support.
Flip them stuff or pay, yeah, but it's still their car, and they're still in the driver's seat. So I fixed your analogy for you. Not going to make your point.
No, you didn't. You just said that nothing that I said was right.
Israel it is their nation. It's not ours. They are in control of the decisions of that nation, not us. So
yes, but we are though responsible for supporting them.
No, we're not. How are we responsible for supporting them?
If we
only if we choose to be, we can choose to just sit out and sit on the sidelines.
I think selling Israel,
unless there's treaties that I don't like, there could be treaties.
So here's the thing: selling weapons to other countries. This is a thing that every country understands.
All right. So is this no longer just Israel? This is just any country. This is your principle about weapons.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
When countries sell weapons to other countries, they have, I believe, morally. Obviously, this isn't practically. They don't have a responsibility. Though there are cases where they do, where that does come into play, but that's not every weapon. So I'm not going to apply that here. But I think morally that those countries, and basically every Western country, does this. Okay, when France or Britain, when they sell their weapons to other countries, they don't just sell their weapons to just any bloke off the street. Usually they're selling to other countries in NATO or other countries in the UN.
Okay, let's skip past this part because I've already granted you this part of the argument. My objection is to the motive behind it, which is to influence the war.
Okay, well, you think we shouldn't at all influence
the war?
Yes,
the whole conversation was about self-determination and where to draw the line, and I've made it very clear where my line is, and you're arguing to draw the line closer.
Well, sure, in. Yeah, I think we should, but we do agree.
We should, because I think Israel is a sovereign nation with the right to self-determination. So to honor that principle, the right thing to do would be to let Israel make these decisions without our influence or interference.
Well, Israel
in the real world, I don't think that's going to happen 100%. But to the extent that I can influence it at all, I would influence it away from us influencing it.
And Israel has a ceasefire deal,
but not in every circumstance. Just in this current situation. Currently,
every circumstance that I could rationalize doing so, I would.
Well, sure, but that's because you could rationalize it. I'm saying that that sounds like you're saying that there's no possible future in which you would ever
No,
move from that position.
No, that's not what I'm saying. If that's what you're hearing, that's not what I'm saying. But to the extent that I could rationalize doing so, I would limit to. So instead of limiting the catalog of weapons Israel could buy, I would let them determine what weapons they think they needed for the war, and then if we were able to provide them, I would provide them, instead of us restricting what we provide to try to influence how Israel prosecutes this war.
But
we have no right to tell them how to use their weapons.
Well,
plus, I would want them getting it from us instead of somebody else anyway. So I would try to make my catalog as broad as possible to entice them.
Not literally every, like, you don't think we should sell them nukes, right? Like, that's there is a reasonable.
I don't think we're in a nuke level war. I don't think you need
no. But like I'm saying, like, you're saying this like, oh yes, no restrictions, but like it's not.
I'm confused because I thought you were talking about this specific war, like influencing what is happening right now in Israel, and I don't think we're at nuke level at all in Israel. So if we're talking about this, but then if you want to move to some general broad principle, I don't do those well. Because everything is situational for me.
No, because you just said, I think we should, give them the catalog and let them, purchase whatever they want.
Okay, so like if Israel came to us and says, "Hey, we want to buy a nuke," that's a completely different conversation. So let me just.
Okay, that was what I was making sure that was the.
Yeah, that's the end all be all.
I don't think we're there yet. Like a lot of things would have to happen before I could even address that as a realistic scenario. So to me, it's like an attempt to take the conversation somewhere other than where I was trying to take it.
And right now, Israel has a ceasefire on the table. Well, they will withdraw. They will remove the line that separates the north from the south Gaza, and allow people to return back to the north. They will. What else did they say?
Is this the deal that Hamas?
Daniel, show me where that's been determined, because the lady came out the other day and said that they have never. No one from the organizations have come out and classified it as a genocide. She wanted to put that narrative to rest. So again, we have bodies and processes in place to determine all this. So if and when it's determined, I accept it. But right now it's just gossip that they're pissing all over human rights and Geneva Convention, etc. The specifics will come out.
There's a report that just came out.
I'm supposed to be watching Survivor with Frank. Go
ahead.
There's
a report that just came out where the U.S. found 4 individual military units and 1 police unit or police department were guilty of human rights violations prior to the October attack. That just came out a few minutes ago.
Were they IDF or
it has to do with the West Bank.
Oh, but that has nothing to do with the thing. This is all prior stuff.
Yeah, the West Bank is
okay. Then show me where they've been convicted of human rights and Geneva Convention violations, Dave. That's what I'm asking for. To my knowledge, it has not happened yet. It's been people on the internet convincing people that they are, which I call gossip. So if you have something concrete, some ruling from some international body whose job it is to make these rulings, then yeah, I missed that one. So please do.
The ICC has not taken up any cases yet.
The lady came out. I saw her video on Twitter. She came out and said the complete opposite this week.
Really?
Like, no, we have not made any kind of determination.
Yeah.
This is all internet narrative.
Yeah, that's what I just read. The international.
Haven't said anything about
in fact, I think I can read the video. I think I have it on Twitter.
It's I don't know if this is like, it's probably a mix of genuine misunderstanding and also
it's people that don't know how to navigate social media properly because they don't have the thinking tools to do it. It just blows my mind.
And people are probably mistaking the ICJ and ICC stuff.
Yeah.
They are two different bodies. The ICJ is nowhere near as I'm
Well,
not
we
even
watch the random lady on
like
Twitter.
really heavy quotations around the power that the ICC has.
Let's watch her. I'm gonna go mute.
Me too.
She is the president of the International Court of Justice. So there's your
Yeah.
random white lady. Let's watch her.
Probably Dutch or German, maybe.
Would it be fair to say, and I'm no lawyer, and many people watching and listening will not be lawyers, but would it be fair to say that the key point that you made your initial order and ruling upon was whether or not there was a plausible case that should be taken on by the court of genocide in the case of Israel's actions in Gaza on October 7, and you clearly decided that there was a plausible case? Is it right to say that's at the heart of what you decided?
You know, I'm glad I have a chance to address that, because the court's test for deciding whether to impose measures uses the idea of plausibility, but the test is the plausibility of the rights that are asserted by the applicant, in this case, South Africa. So the court decided that the Palestinians had a plausible right to be protected from genocide, and that South Africa had the right to present that claim in the court. It then looked at the facts as well, but it did not decide, and this is something where I'm correcting what's often said in the media, it didn't decide that the claim of genocide was plausible. It did emphasize in the order that there was a risk of irreparable harm to the Palestinian right to be protected from genocide. But the shorthand that often appears, which is that there's a plausible case of genocide, isn't what the court decided.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was yeah.
Hey, Miss Random White Lady herself. Y'all heard it here.
I don't know how South Africa got involved, but
Because it was about the ICJ, because it's about the ICJ case. That's the thing. So she is the president of the ICC, and she is explaining to a news reporter about how the ICJ case worked. That was what it was. Like, the ICC has not been. There's been no cases brought to the ICC involving Israel Gaza recently. Like, it's the ICC is not involved in this. The only thing that comes up at the ICC.
Okay, Daniel, then show me what you have. It's very simple. Show me something. My email is that PrimalHex at Twitter. It's also my Gmail address. I will look at anything.
and I gathered from what she said was that they were they taking up the case that genocide should not happen. She didn't say they was taking up a case of specific genocide.
Well, the thing is that, like, she's, to my understanding, she's talking about the ICJ determination, which has been that, like, the Palestinians have a right in, like, the courts to in an international body. They have the right to be protected from genocide.
Right. I think even Israel would agree with that.
Yeah, well, that's the determination. That was the determination of the ICJ, and she, as the former president of the ICC, is talking about this because she also knows how the ICJ works, because they are similar organizations, though not the same.
Okay.
But they had no specific cases of genocide that they were
right. Whatever Daniel's referring to here about,
I don't know what he's referring to, though.
They're pissing all over is kind of figurative anyway. I'm not sure what that refers to, but human rights and Geneva Convention. So that leads me to believe he's referring to specific violations, and I'm not aware of any yet that have emerged. So if you know of some that I don't, and I'm being serious, I may just not have seen it yet.
Yeah, actually, Daniel, also to me, if there is some recent news, I would love to see it. Like, genuinely, it's, I don't know. I like.
So
staying
I'm
up to
only
date.
going by
I
my
don't-
current,
Yeah.
like what I have to go off currently. So I may be missing some data points or inputs. That's very possible, and
Yeah.
I will adjust my narrative in response to new information if I find it
Yeah.
relevant.
I would be interested to see new cases popping up about this, but I'm not sure.
Speaking of, here's another thing I wanted to share today that came across my feed. I'm still trying to decode it, so you can help me. It's kind of a update on Plato's Cave for the modern world, and so I think it's like you have the media showing the masses reality, but
Mhm.
then there's this power that's secretly behind the media that's
Yeah.
feeding, telling what. But then I don't understand this part. Are these the people that have seen through this and have made it out into real life, or are these people that are not in the cave to begin with? So they're like
Yeah,
the most.
this is like conspiracy, like weird QAnoner bullshit. Like
Yeah.
it's
And why do they have their eyes covered? And like,
well, it's this
I
picture.
can't tell if he's crawling into the cave because the light of reality is so bright that he needs refuge in
He's
artificial,
crawling
so
out.
or if he's crawling out.
this
But
is
that's a weird way to crawl out of a
this is
cave.
well this so this is in reference to a actual cave that they found, where basically we have some of the earliest signs of human civilization, meaning that aka in that pit on the left, they found a bunch of skeletons that looked like this was like a tomb, like a grave site for some early Neanderthals or early Homo sapiens.
It's not Plato's allegory.
This isn't.
No, this is related to. I'll find the cave.
I'm pretty
This
sure
is
this is related.
this
to
is
Plato's
related to the
allegory.
truth community, how they perceive things.
Where is sanity in this picture? Who represents the people that see things the most clear in the cartoon?
No, there is
Is it
none.
the real life people or these truth seekers?
What they're saying is
The birds?
people live in a dark hole. Then they're fed misinformation. That the
Okay.
people giving them the misinformation is the elite.
Okay.
These group of people, as we call the truth community, have seen the truth beyond the elite
Okay.
and have escaped from under their control.
And they're living in reality now, this real life, with the
But
urns and the birds.
but in real life, they are not living in reality,
I'm so confused.
in my
Okay.
opinion.
All right. Well, I think I'm just gonna leave it there. And
Okay.
Also, I think it's also I found I think what that picture is referencing, which is the cave of bones, which was found in this like basically underground chamber, and then they would like drop bodies into like down this hole into sight, is likely a early human grave.
I'm gonna read the caption of the person that posted it that I got it from.
Okay.
It says, in the updated version, the media can see the shadows in the fire, but not real life. To me, that's a reference to Plato's cave, the allegory of the cave.
Oh, I mean, that guy is probably referencing his cave.
And so I was interpreting it as a representation of Plato's cave because the shadows and the little things casting the shadow are definitely from Plato. That's straight out of the allegory.
Okay, so it wasn't it was not Homo sapiens. It was Homo naledi, which is an extinct species of archaic human.
Damn, Frank.
Homo
Tell us
who?
how you really feel.
Naledi.
I've never heard of that.
Along with similar naledi, Naledi.
Naledi. I've never heard of these people.
EDI. Well, then she's related to Idi Amin.
Cyber Caliphate is here.
Yeah, I just wanted to say real quick that is a clear reference to Plato's cave.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Like that guy is talking about it, but I'm pretty sure that the picture that he was using, like the original picture, was probably referencing the Cave of Bones, referencing how like you have like humans in like their earliest form, and then we rise from into modern day humans.
I didn't get that
Kind of,
from
kind
it.
of, kind of, kind of like how the the evolutionary walk, the
Like the ascent of man, where you have the
Yeah.
different species and they gradually stand more
Yeah.
and more up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the Cave of Bones is
I
a
think we have several of those specimens on the Panelverse. We have a range of.
because the Cave of Bones is found in what's known as the Cradle of Mankind, which is basically the oldest known human remains. So the Cave of the Unknown is often, or the Cave of Bones is often attributed to like.
Okay, let me cut a gap real quick into the Spur
beginning of
group, because we've
humanity.
been going at it for a while. Is there anybody that maybe wants to start a stream, and we can feed this one into a new stream and keep it going, and then I could go babysit Frank for a while.
Babysit Frank. How much does that job pay, Jeff?
When you factor in like stress, therapy, expenses, wear and tear, not enough. It probably costs me more than I take in.
Well, I'd like to get TML's breakdown of that sweet picture you had up.
Yeah, it's just it's basically book 7 of the Republic of Plato, and basically Socrates is telling a story about these people who are tied up in a cave and they're bound on all sides from birth until adulthood, and there's a screen in front of them, and there's a fire behind them, and people hold up images on the fire to project a shadow image on the screen, and these people learn their education through these shadows. So they believe the shadows on the cave are real. The shadows on the cave wall are real. Until one person frees his chain and starts to find his way out of the cave, and then he goes outside, and immediately the effect of seeing the sun blinds him. So then he goes back in and he tries to warn the other people, but they call him crazy. They say there's no world outside. It's just the fucking cave in here, and you're a fucking crazy person. So then he says that he has to kind of free these people and then leave breadcrumbs out of the cave so that they can see the light themselves. He can't teach them directly because they don't believe him anyways. So he can't teach. So he has to offer them, but essentially what these people believe is flickering shadows on a screen, images of things that are symbols of things that are not real. So even the symbols that they're looking at are projections of fake things. They're just cultural symbols.
Yeah, well, potentially real things, because like you could like make a shadow of a dog, and like dogs exist, but just
yeah,
like,
but that's not what these things are. This is like they create like something that's not a dog, like a Pokemon, and they're like, look at what this Pokemon's doing here.
So
don't go outside. There's like Pokemon outside.
What you're telling me is that
like these people believe they live in
Plato
Pokemon world.
Was the OG conspiracy theorist?
No, it was actually trying to see through conspiracy and find a way out of it through rationality.
The sun represents truth. The light of the sun represents outside the cave it represents the real world, and it just so what it really is,
trying to be a little facetious and be like, this is why.
Oh yeah,
I
definitely see the appeal.
No, he's comparing the cave to the real world, and he's comparing the real world to the metaphysical space, like the world of ideas. So he's saying so his allegory of the cave,
the artist, whoever made that meme.
Yeah, that person is kind of that person is taking that to the literal sense, where Plato is using it as a parable to extrapolate on the metaphysical reality.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
I
will make Frank feel better by leaving and early, so that I can go do things, and also so that hopefully y'all can get out of here quicker without me yapping. So y'all be well.
I appreciate your yaps. They're great content. and I'll enjoy our conversation.
Yeah, I stopped talking. I'm exhausted with
You're fine.
with everything, and then Israel Palestine. I don't have
Yeah,
mental
no,
bandwidth.
I mean, we didn't really like get into heated stuff, which is
No. I mean, it was a good conversation to listen to, but I just like no matter every time I started like almost half have a thought about it. It just kind of like deflated.
No.
Just like
it's okay, Frank. I almost love me too. Anyways, see y'all later.
All right.
All
Well,
right,
we'll get
Lev.
everybody out of here. Unless Machine, are you opening a stream later, or Chris? Do you want to open a stream?
No,
You're going
no,
to
I'll
do
be
your
back
car.
on Wednesday. I'll be back on Wednesday, but
no, I have
yeah,
to
but
go
it's
back out
funny.
to the dungeon, to the car dungeon, and try to finish disassembling
Okay.
and reassembling my guitar.
Well, we won't delay that much longer.
Chris, a Molotov cocktail solves everything.
Did you watch The Good Place, Chuck?
No.
Oh God, I thought you were quoting. There's a line of that. It's one of the funniest lines I've ever heard anything ever. He's
Yeah,
like
the Pakistani girl on that show, she's like one of the prettiest girls in the world, right?
yeah,
literally.
no, yeah, she's hot. Yeah,
Yeah, she's like one of the hottest girls I've ever seen, for real.
She's pretty hot, yeah.
I can remember
guy
being a
Jason.
kid and in our family car having a problem, and Dad opened the hood. He whittled a few things, tried to start it, and it wouldn't start. He went in the house, and he came back out with a small sledgehammer. I thought, well, wow, what's he must have found the problem, and he started beating the shit out of the car.
Dang.
Yeah.
That was your
That's
dad?
many years going on there.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've got my share of injuries from. You can see look this bruise I got on myself from like doing this thing. I'm like.
Well, Frank wants me to leave, so I guess I better bid adieu.
Well, no, but let me finish what I was saying though.
Okay.
The line from the show though is just so funny just because you mentioned Molotov cocktails. It's like there's like this character, it's kind of like the dumb character that always says the dumb thing, and he says like he makes some comment about like, well, we'll just, if we get in trouble, we'll just throw a Molotov cocktail. And they're like, shut up, Jason. He's like, no, seriously. Every time I have a problem, I throw a Molotov cocktail, and suddenly I have a completely different problem.
Exactly. All right, guys. We'll talk to you later.
All right. We'll see you later, Chuck. All right.
You're right, Dahlia. Frank does run this place. I don't know how that happened.
Frank and I have an arrangement. Let's say he doesn't run it.
Yeah, Chris is gonna ruin everything.
All right. Well, we're Machine.
No, I'm not. I
good
don't have anything
see-
to say, guys. Yeah, you guys can go and watch Survivor or whatever.
All right, and go fix your car, and I might be around this evening. You never know.
I would try to stream the car thing, but like it's just I don't have any way to like put a.
Don't complicate it. You're gonna need all your brain power.
No, but you would if you saw like the level of like of destruction that has to take place to get to this thing, you would be like, oh my God, what did you do to your car? You would not believe it. It looks like I had fully disassembled an entire vehicle.
I would believe it.
It's just stupid. It's like it's not even a big part. It's like a square like this big, and it's buried inside the absolute. It's like getting to the heart of the actual car. Like you have to get the only thing would be worse if I had to take apart the engine, which I wouldn't even attempt. But I don't have the
well, I wish you all. I wish you success.
Good night. Thank you. Good head. Yeah, my headbands. It's headband season, so I only have 2 right now though. So I'm gonna have to find some more to help. Switch it up.
All right. We'll do it again next time. Tomorrow for sure. Maybe tonight.
Did you stream last night?
No, hang on one second. I woke up like after midnight and I said, oh, this is a perfect chance to do one of those after midnight streams. And I'm all wired up and everything. And then I got distracted by a bunch of other stuff and I looked at the clock and it was like 3 a.m. And I said, oh, it's way too late. Do one now.
Yeah,
I came this close. If I had started it when I had the impulse, I would have done one.
I came inside about 11:30 when it started raining pretty heavily again, and I don't remember anything after. I just passed out. I hit the bed and just collapsed. I was so tired from.
All right.
Anyway, see you later.
See you later. All right, that's the real closer. Take care of it. We're working on it, Frank. We do have that on the list. We had a team meeting the other day, and boobs and a harem is definitely something we're looking at. All right, Machine, good to see you.
All right,
Catch you in the
peace, Joe.
streets.
Yeah, talk to you soon.
Take care. The rest of you, take care. See you later.